and welcome to the Honor Ramble. I am your host, your Auntie Collins. This week we do have a guest co host. It is the lovely, the wonderful Samantha. How's it
Hey,
going?
everybody. Thanks for having me.
Okay, do you prefer Samantha or do you prefer
Either
Sam?
one, I will go by both. You can, I know my is Samantha, and so that throws everybody off, but you can call me Sam. Sam will work. That's what
Sam.
most people, except for my sister. Uh, and my mom call me Sam, and then everybody else, because my dad's name is Sam, and so they're like, no.
That doesn't
But
make
I
it at
had to because
all.
I was classmates with a girl like all through elementary school,
Mhm.
and we both had the same name, and so I was like, fine, I'll just go by Sam. Make it easier for both of us, so we don't
Oh.
both turn around when our name is being called.
Oh my gosh. I never had to deal with that. There's not a lot of Collins
I'm sure.
that exist in the world, but
Right.
my best friend is named Sam, so it's a good name. It's a good
I was gonna
name.
say that's a great name.
Well, we are somehow going to talk about this Ring of Honor episode. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Astrid. Welcome to the show. If you're wondering why I look like this, I'm not feeling 100% today. I did take some medicine. I do have my drinkity drinks over here. We're going to get the blood flowing, but I do apologize, everyone. Send all the positive vibes. I don't know. Put a little like. Remember to subscribe to the channel, share it to all your friends. We love seeing you participate in the chats, and I love bumping gums with everyone post show. Replay crew, I see you, and I love engaging with you because it's my favorite part. So, wow, what an episode! What an episode!
Yeah. Yes, and I was watching because I missed last week's episode because I actually had to do in real life things last week, and I was like, "Oh,
Mm.
I'll get to it a little bit," and then I didn't, and then I was like, "Oh, I'll get to it," and then I had kept having things come up, and so I was like, "Well, I'll watch more of it as much as I can," and I was like, "This last week's episode was better than this week's."
And you know what's funny
I
is
was like,
last
maybe
week's
it's because it's
episode.
pay-per-view week. Maybe they were filming like because so everybody they were had just the week of pay-per-view shows in general for AEW was really good, so maybe it rubbed off on ROH a little bit.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
this
I mean,
it wasn't
everyone that
bad. It was
yeah,
an episode.
it wasn't bad. It was predictable, what I would
Yes,
say, right?
absolutely, for sure. I would
Uh,
agree with that.
I don't know. I don't. Some people like predictable shows. Some people don't. It's
It's just when you're coming off of I mean, I guess they're 2 weeks post pay-per-view, but still you feel it looked like they had some momentum going and then it's just kinda like, it felt like ROH was the afterthought once again.
yeah. Isn't that the story?
Yes, it is.
uh, I mean, fortunately, we did have this weekend with AEW Dynasty. Fantastic pay per view. If you have a
Yeah,
moment to go back and watch it,
def
we did see at least a promo with now our undisputed six-man tag champions,
yes.
the Bang Bang Gang. Do you call them Bullet Club Gold? Do you call them Bang
I
Bang
call them Big
Gang?
Bang Day. I used to flip back and forth, and especially like in my writing and stuff, and then I've just
Mhm.
kind of gotten to the point where it's just Bang Bang Gang. Because even like for Supercard, they came out and it was the Bang Bang Gang open challenge, open contract match, and I was like, okay, so they're specifically ROH is like calling because I guess that's what most people refer to them as. I don't think a lot of people forget that they're actually part of Bullet Club. They're or their own little
Yeah, they're their
version.
own. Yeah, the
Yeah,
Gold
their own
Brothers.
little I mean, and Jay kind of mentioned it in his promo, but yeah, I think most people forget that forget that they are a not a faction, but like a leg of Bullet Club.
I will never forget that Jay White is in the Bullet Club or in the Bang Bang Gang. I went on last week and I talked about how Jay White and Finn Balor both have corn on the cob abs.
They do. That
because
is a true statement.
they have
That
abs that stack on each other, but then somehow there's more abs on the
right.
side, and they just
Yeah, it just yeah, a it's it's very interesting. It's a work of art.
interesting is a great way to put that. They definitely keep me watching,
Of
television.
course. Of course.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, what did you before we jump jump into this episode of Ring of Honor, what did you think of AEW Dynamite as a whole?
I thought Dynamite was actually pretty solid.
Mhm.
I could have done without this Jericho segment, of
Yeah,
course.
of course.
Of course, I could have done without all of that, and didn't know what I thought Big Bill maybe was gonna come like give him a big boot to the face, and that is not what happened. And I was like, how do you go from Ricky Starks to
I
this
know.
version of Jericho? I
I
was like,
know.
yeah, 15 years ago, Jericho, and I would say that as somebody who's been a Jericho fan for a very long time, but it's just I don't need him on my TV anymore. And I was like, why are they putting Big Bill with him? What is happening here? And I was like, who else are they going to try to put with this?
Right.
Other than that, like I thought it was a really good episode. I wish they had done more with Swerve. I heard the reasoning why, like what they're doing on Saturday, which I guess makes sense, but also you could have done a little more last night with him. But
Right.
our guy Kyle Fletcher, our ROH, which what does he have? He has the TV title. Yes. He had a pretty solid match last night with Swerve. I heard some people were a little upset about that because it was like a 50-50 match. And I was like, well, you're not going to just have Swerve out here squashing people either, though. Like,
Right.
and he is, even though he's an ROH champion, he is a champion. So, like, you want him to look good
Mhm.
going out there with an ROH title. Like, he's not going to come out there and you're going to beat him in 3 minutes. We don't want that. But,
Yeah,
uh,
exactly. Let's not keep burying Ring of Honor.
Right. They already do that enough on Honor Club. Don't do it on TV too. Jeez. We can't even
Mhm.
we can't hardly well, we can get everybody but Athena on TV, but that will be a whole other conversation for unless you want to sit here for 3 hours while you don't feel good.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I
But
for
yeah,
one
go
yeah.
ahead.
I was about to say I for one, I definitely agree with all those sentiments about Dynamite last night. Hearing that Kenny Omega is coming back.
I
Just
feel like Kenny Omega. So my theory is Kenny is there to kick off the Owen Cup and to announce the participants because it's May. They always do. The finale comes at Double or Nothing. They'll be in Canada. Then I feel like he's gonna eat a rainmaker.
oh my gosh.
Because I was like, well, the elite have to do something. And I was like, well, he and Okada obviously have tons of history.
Mhm.
Okada took his spot in the elite. So I
Mhm.
feel like clearly he's gonna have to have surgery, and I don't know how physical he can get, but I was like, he can probably take a rainmaker and be all right with it. He can, I'm assuming, because look, Kenny at like 20% is still better than like half of most people's rosters.
I mean, he was a multiple champ with freaking Vertigo, and I was talking about that on Sunday with
Yeah.
Kylie because it's like we're so excited for the possibility of Kenny to return, but it's the fact that like remember when he was champion and he like basically had a separated shoulder, and he also
Right.
was dealing with like all of his what are those called, hernias, right?
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
had vertigo, and he was, like, battling, like, other infections and stuff,
Yeah,
so
it was, and that man was still putting on the caliber of matches and cutting the promos that he was cutting and like doing all
absolutely.
this insane. Like, I was like, if Kenny is this good at like 70%, I'm like,
Yeah.
when he's like, I mean, he's probably never going to be 100% healthy again, but I mean, never 100% is asking a lot. But even
Yeah.
if he's like
We have a time
97,
machine.
even if he's like 90%, like I couldn't imagine how good he is if he's that good. Dealing with
Exactly.
all of that, like that's just, I can't wrap my brain around that.
Yeah. I agree, and what a wonderful place to be in Jacksonville. Have you ever been to a Jacksonville
I
show?
have. I've been twice. I went to the first Fight for the Fallen because it was on my sister's birthday. So my sister and I and one of our friends, we drove down. Um, to Jacksonville. It was a very long drive. It's 7 hours from Charlotte. And then
Whew.
we went back for the first Double or Nothing post pandemic.
Mm.
On a whim, I applied for media and then I got it. And then I had to like hurry up and figure out over a holiday weekend a car rental and a place to stay. And we found a place to stay that was like 5 minutes from the venue, except apparently nobody told them that not only was it a holiday weekend, there was a huge wrestling show and tons of people would be there. And like, so we got there and our car was in like just waiting to turn into the park or to get into the parking lot. We were there in that section for probably an hour and a half. And then I had to leave my car and go. My sister and another friend were in the car, and I went inside and had to stand in line to check in. And it took like 45 minutes just to check in. And so I'm like, I have to change clothes. I was like, we Uber Eats, we used Uber Eats and had it delivered to the hotel lobby. We ate our food in the lobby, changed. I went, and my sister and I went and changed in the bathroom, in the lobby bathroom. And then we still weren't they still weren't ready for us. And so there was like a room where they were putting they just put a bunch of luggage in a room. And I was like, listen, I'm doing media afterwards. So I'm probably not going to get back to like 2:00 in the morning because of the scrum and stuff. And they were like, well, I said, will somebody be here to get our luggage out? And they were like, yeah. And it was a mess. So I was like, hopefully they're better
Wow.
prepared. The pay-per-view at least was worth it, but
Yeah.
it was a nightmare. But yeah, Daly's Place is a great venue, except for it's very hot until the sun goes down, and then it's not too bad. But like the sun's like beating right on your back, and that's not a good time.
Yeah. As a West Coast person, the thought of traveling that far, because that I mean, I'm all the way up in Seattle, so it's going the entire length of the
Right.
United States.
Right.
All the way there to do all of that, and the different weather is
Yeah, at least with the second time we went down, which was for Double or Nothing, the friend that he was in South Carolina, so we drove down the night before and spent the night with him and his wife, and then we went down the next morning. So it was only 5 hours, so it wasn't as bad, but
yeah,
then we
as
did
bad.
as
Yeah.
bad. But then the day we came back, we did the full 7 hours, and
Oof.
that was rough. And I was like, okay, next time we're gonna have to like take a plane, and we're gonna have to like fly or something. So at least thank goodness Revolution was an hour and a half from me.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my gosh.
and I still went up the day before just in case, because I was like, listen, I've had some not good luck traveling for AEW shows. This is in my home state, but I was like, let's go up a day early just in case.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm communicating with my husband, who is
That's fine.
literally 2 feet in front, 2 feet over there.
That's okay.
But,
Not a problem.
that's the magic of texting. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's I've talked about it at length on multiple podcasts. I think I went on like a 20-minute rant last week about how I don't know. I'm always like of the like mind of, if you have a pay-per-view, if you have a show, it should be in a place in which more than just cars can get to, right? Like public
Right.
transportation should
Yes.
be accessible. And
Right.
in Seattle, it's very much, they're trying so hard, but we're not there yet with public
Right.
transportation. So when we had Wrestle Dream here, it was awesome because you can literally take the train from the airport all the way
Wow.
to the venue.
That's awesome.
So right. And it's like when people were asking me, how do I get to the venue? Do I get a rental car? And it's like, literally, you have like the golden ticket of, get on the link. It literally takes you to this little transfer station. You get on another little thing. It goes to a monorail, which you go from being underground to over. And it takes you right into the venue, like into the venue.
So cool.
And, if you need to go to a Airbnb or if you need to go somewhere else, like, Uber's generally not as expensive in the city. But we have Dynamite, and a couple weeks, and it's in Everett, which is about like an hour outside the city.
Okay.
And public transportation, and like not a lot of people like fly in for Dynamites. I don't think that happens.
Right.
But they're having Wrestle Dream be in Tacoma, which is an hour, hour and a half in the opposite direction. So if people
Oh,
are
man.
flying in, they're
Yeah.
gonna be screwed. And
Yeah.
there's no hotels, there nothing is in walking distance.
Oh,
So,
that sucks.
and I mean, that's how I also felt about, when we went to Hoffman Estates, for
Yes.
for All Out. It's like, what's around?
We went
Uh,
to I went to All In, and it was
yeah.
like and it's like and Hoffman Estates, so, like, Starcast and everything was at Hoffman Estates, and then, like,
Oh my
our
god.
hotel actually was not our hotel was, like, a mile from the hotel where they were doing Starcast and everything, and
Mhm.
then we had to get to the venue, which is, like it was crazy, and then at All In, there were, like, no there was like transportation was a nightmare, and then they were upcharging everything, and we were like, we're not paying. There were 6 of us, and we're like, even splitting this, like, it was like several $100s is what they were trying to upcharge, and so we
No.
walked. The 6 of us were just like, screw it. We could see a hotel from where we were at, and we
Mhm.
walked to the hotel. Probably it was probably half a mile away. It took us a half an hour to get there walking, and we opened an Uber app from the hotel, and it was like a regular price for an
Yeah.
Uber. And so, like, we were telling the woman who picked us up, she was like, I can't believe they price gouge like that. She was like, it I had no idea that there was even anything happening at at the venue, and she was like, this is crazy. She's like, I can't believe they were going to charge you this much, and she was like, I can't believe you had to walk a half a mile just to get like an
Mhm.
affordable Uber to
Affordable
get back
rate,
to your
yeah.
hotel, and it was like late at night, and I think we got back to our hotel at like 1:30 or something
Yeah.
like that. It was
Jeez.
insane.
Oh, well, with that said, makes me excited for, I'm excited for Double or Nothing. I'm excited for everything that's
Me
gonna
too.
happen this summer.
I
Um,
am too, yeah.
but,
I like that they announce the shows ahead of time too, like, so that we
mhm.
know, like, when pay-per-views are, where they're at, and I was like, I'm glad they finally realized, like, okay, people travel. A lot of people travel for these, like, we need
Yeah,
to let people know in advance so that they can plan things out. Like, I'm
yeah,
glad that I was like, that's one thing that Koshe Irby, the guy that came from WWE and is like now like, and he's helping with that. And I was like, oh, and
mhm.
they were like, I was like, yeah, I was like, that's one good thing to bring over from that company is like, let's announce our pay-per-views so our fans have time to plan.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that also the thing that kinda helps, because every time that I've gone to a pay-per-view,
Mhm.
it's always been, like, either last minute or, like, I've been planning this for a very long time.
Right.
But at least if it's, like, last minute, it's like, okay, everybody kind of already knew that, like, the location of it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Right.
So,
Right.
you know, I don't know, I was trying to make Double or Nothing happen, but I don't think it's gonna happen. We just
Yeah.
paid for a wedding, so I'm like, "Oh,
Yes, and
that's a
also
little bit." Oh,
congratulations.
thank you. You're so sweet. I was trying to say kind and sweet at the same time, and it just came out with, as kind. I don't know. But, well, with that said, this is gonna be a great episode. We are jumping into Ring of Honor, Honor Club episode 61. S it was a very predictable episode, but a very action-packed. Uh
Yeah, I will give it that. At least it wasn't like it wasn't hard to get through, at least.
Yeah.
It moved pretty fast, and
Mhm.
so there's that.
So our first match, I mean, our first match is Commander, which has been on Ring of Honor for quite some time,
Mhm,
versus Isaiah Cassidy.
mhm.
What did you think of this match, especially opening the show? Because I know that they Frankenstein a lot of these matches, but
yeah, I thought it was fun. Like it was a lot. I mean, they've been. It was. I knew as soon as I saw, I was like, okay, this is gonna move quickly. It's gonna be a lot of. It's gonna be a fun match, regardless of how long it is. But yeah, it is kind of interesting that that's what they chose to go with. So I was like, when they were taping this, I was like, what was happening? Like, how did they go like right? And I was like, I wonder if they were trying to keep the crowd like from falling asleep. So they're like, send Commander, like send him out there so that people will wake up and pay attention to this match. But I thought I really like Private Party, but I enjoy watching them separately. Like Isaiah and Mark, like I think they're like, I love Private Party. I think they're a really good team, and they but I like them individually and seeing what they can do individually. And I think and pairing them with somebody like Commander, because like when you see the Private Party, like you don't expect them to go out here and have matches with luchadors, and then Commander is obviously one of the top, and he's like Commander is fun. Like I mean, as many matches as I've seen of his in the last year or so, I'm still impressed with something he does every single time I see him.
Absolutely. I've talked with Kyle a lot, but my favorite pastime of Ring of Honor is flippy dippy guys, right? You get these
right. Yeah.
You get these fatal four ways, or you get I hate the four corner survival matches.
Oh my gosh, me too. They don't like the matches themselves are fine, like, but if it's not leading to anything, like if it's not like the winner of this four corners match is the number one contender, or then like, but if you're trying to cram as many people on there as once, and they kept doing, I mean, they were doing it with them, and what they were doing it, I'm gonna go off on a tangent a little bit, but when they kept doing it earlier this year, they would do men and women on the same show. The women would get like 4 minutes, and then they would do the same thing with the men like 3 matches later, and they'd get like 10 and 12 minutes. I'm like, why? What are you doing? Why are you it drives me insane. I was like, why are you giving, and I went because I went to Collision. The first Collision in January was here. And so we stayed for ROH, of course, because I was like, I'm not gonna leave during ROH. I was like, first of all, I cover it every week, and I was like, I know why people have to leave, but I feel bad for them when they leave. I was like, we're not leaving. I was like, and I was like, considering the money I paid, all this wrestling I'm getting is a very good deal. So the women came out and they got like 4 minutes, and then a four corner it was a four corner men's main event, and they got like 12 minutes. And I was like, and then it kept happening like every week. The women would get, I was like, what do you do? Giving them a minute per woman?
Right. I have gone on many rants about it. I have the same sentiment, but I think starting off with this match was kind of the jolt of energy that you kind of needed to go into a Ring of Honor episode where it was kind of predictable.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I also like Isaiah Cassidy as like a singles wrestler on his own. I really enjoy how he plays up his personality and not just highlighting his wrestling capabilities. I think a lot of tag team stars can get stuck in that, like, oh, I need to prove that I can wrestle and not and forget about the personality part. Like, we need to tell the story. And I definitely felt like this match specifically told that story of, I mean, the ending was shenanigans, right? So
of course. Of course.
But I mean, Isaiah Cassidy, the entire match was trying to keep Commander on the ground, which is like wrestling 101. You have a flippy dippy guy.
Yes.
You want to keep them on the ground to keep them from doing flippy dippy shit, right?
Yeah.
And the moment things started going outside of the ring, and
we heard Isaiah scream as soon as he was on the outside. Like, Isaiah scream makes me laugh every single time. Literally every time I'd like chuckle or just like laugh to myself, like every time. And he did. It was on the outside, and I think Commander like did something to him, and he like went up over the barricade or something. And I was as soon as he got outside, there goes, and here you can hear Isaiah scream.
It's that high pitched scream. But I also enjoyed that Isaiah Cassidy, he kept going to the scream and looking at the camera and looking deadpan and just like being a cocky little shit, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yes. Yes.
it got the best of him. But yeah, that ending with the ref distraction and a quick little swift kick, I almost
Yep.
missed it. But I was like, why
Yeah.
is he? Oh, I guess he got hit in the balls, you know?
Right.
Oh, but Isaiah Cassidy comes out with the win over Commander. What would you rate this match?
Ooh. I would give it like, I'd say like a 7.
Yeah, a 7. That's
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd give it a 6, 7. You know.
Yeah. I was
So
thinking 6. I was like, oh, I might give it a, yeah. I think that's a, yeah. I enjoyed it.
I mean, it was honestly one of my favorite matches of the night, which is kind of like, well,
Right.
maybe.
On a show like that, yeah, it definitely. Well, and I guess for them on a show like that, it definitely stood out.
Yeah, definitely. But after the match, we go into a backstage promo with the Bang Bang Gang of Austin Gunn, Colton Gunn, and Jay White, and they're talking about their Unified Trios Championships, which we talked about that they got at AEW Dynasty. I get lost a little bit when Jay White talks. I was like, oh, I needed to write down some more notes about this
It's
because
very hard because, especially because, listen, I used to watch because I love New Japan, and Jay was one of my
same.
favorite. Jay was one of my favorites in New Japan, and yes, it can be. Especially, and it's hard because he's a good Jay. I don't get to. He obviously doesn't get to show it, I think, as much, but he's a great promo. He's very good at it, and like I love like when he was doing his heel work in New Japan, like that is listen.
Ed, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you, Ed.
But he's just, yeah, I don't know. I think Jay is a great promo. I think when he was doing his heel, like a lot of his heel work in New Japan, like he was one of my favorite heels just because of the way the promos he cut. He didn't have to rely on cheap heat to be a little shit. He was just he did Bullet Club tactics, but he didn't have to.
Exactly. SJ talking about those corn on the cob abs for sure.
Definitely. But yeah, it was good. I one thing I wondered though was like, are they gonna? They look so funny with those pink tiles.
They're the pink tiles, yeah.
With this, not that they're pink, but because of their cut. They have like the scissor.
Right.
Like the sides look like scissors. I was like, it just looks so funny with them. And I was like, I'm guessing at some point they're just gonna, because it is, Tony said on the media call it was a unified title. So I was like, I guess they're gonna get
a new title.
One just like one brand new, just gonna be one title. And I was like, but how are they gonna do that? I was like, are they just like not gonna be? I mean, not that they were on ROH really.
Yeah.
They weren't. I mean, since the Mogul Embassy dropped it, like they haven't. They're like they found. I was joking. I was like, oh, it took them finding out the Supercard of Honor was in Philadelphia for them to show up on Honor Club. They're like, oh, Philadelphia, like that's where Honor Club is. Okay, let's go.
Okay,
and then like. So a promo, I was like, wow, they found like the Honor Club studio to cut a promo tonight. I'm glad that they found their way. That's probably the last time we're going to see them on Honor Club.
Yeah, that's been my issue with Ring of Honor, you know, leading up to Supercard. So at least they made an appearance in a backstage promo.
They treated it like Roman Reigns. They acknowledged it.
Oh my gosh. Oh. With that said, we have Action Andretti and Top Flight. Are they calling them?
I think they're still, I don't know that they've given them a name. It's just, and I'm like, y'all gotta shorten this because Top Flight Action Andretti is too much to say.
Yeah.
And I was like, call them Top, and I was like, Top Flight Action is so lazy, but I mean.
Top Flight Action. Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
Like, Top Action, I don't know. But yeah, it's a lot to have to say all of that every time.
Yeah. But they took on the Dark Order of Evil Uno, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds. This was a match to me. It was a little slow, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I was a little disappointed because I really like both teams, and it was Action Flight. Have they called them that? They might have.
That just sounds like a really bad 80s movie. Like Action Flight 7. Revenge
sounds
of
like an arcade game. Mom, I'm going to play Action Flight. See you in 2 hours.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I wanted more. It was just a match. And I don't really think I paid that close of it. I mean, it was on, but I was also, I think, on my phone too, which is not, I try not to do that. And then sometimes I get distracted and yeah. And I hate it because, like I said, I really like both teams. And I was like, and I with Top Flight and actually Andretti, that's who I actually wanted to have the 6-man titles. I was like, if you're gonna do them,
Absolutely.
first of all, they're an amazing team, but I was like, they're actually on our club. I mean, yes, they go to AEW, but because they do so well going back and forth. That's somebody that you put the titles on because they can represent both. Like you can have them go back and forth. And I was like, I've been wanting them since even before Bang Bang Gang even got them. I was like, Mogul Embassy should drop to Top Flight and Action Andretti. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, I really would like to see them as trio/6-man or whatever they're going to end up calling this title. I would like
Whatever.
to see them, those three have them because I think it's so crazy how well they work as a team and how Action has just stepped in when he's needed. Like when Dante was injured and when Darius has been injured, he just stepped right up and did his thing and got himself over. And they flow so well together, the
Yeah.
three of them. Like they have such great synergy, and I think that they should be
You know,
rewarded with titles.
I was a little bit worried with Top Flight. Like I love Top Flight as a trio a little bit more than I like them as a tag team, although
Mhm.
them being just the Martin brothers is fine. But I was a little bit anxious with like, oh, AR Fox like turning heel and having that whole segment and
Yeah,
then
right.
but they've kind of, they haven't really misstepped. They kind of have kept going.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, this match specifically, I was kind of fumbling with my phone. I was not really, as
Mhm.
engaged as I should have been. I did
Same.
watch it on the replay because I did not write a lot of notes for this, and I just kind of literally my notes were I didn't write any notes for this match. I'm ready for Top Flight to get a match against the Bang Bang Gang. And what do you know? At the end of the match,
Mhm.
we get to see them against the Bang Bang Gang on Collision, which will be so fine, so fire.
Yeah, they're gonna kill it. That's gonna be a great match.
Yeah, I think they'll kill it. But yeah, we get a pump handle slam as our and you know what's interesting is Action Andretti has gotten uh the win
Mhm.
in the last 5 trios.
Wow. Has he? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I do predictions
Yeah.
for all of my stuff on my Discord and stuff. So it's kind of seeing, okay, this is the trend that's happening. Action Andretti has been taking the win, which is a great if he's going to be the leader, so to speak,
Right.
of the group. So
Which is kind of interesting because he was like thrown in with them. Like they're already an established tag
mhm,
team, but Action is the one who's kind of taken the lead of the trios team, and he's been the stronger one as far as like how they've pushed them. So which is and even like and he's had and I really enjoy them all like when they have singles matches, like when they both had to go, especially Dante when he had to go on his
oh
singles run. Like he's
yeah,
so good. Like so and it's a crazy how like all three of them individually are so good, and then they can come in and just do trios like so smoothly.
mhm.
Like there's no like I think they're a lot better than people give them credit for. I really
I
enjoy that.
I agree, and it's hard to think that at the inception of AEW when they first came out, like Top Flight was just kind of a pandemic
Yeah,
tag team that came in,
right.
and
Hmm.
they've blossomed so much. So I'm excited to see more title opportunities for them. But I definitely agree they should be taking the trios titles at least sometime soon.
I think so too.
Because
Yeah, because I was like, they've got to get, and I was like, and part of it is like, and I know that's been a conversation so much. It's like Jay needs to be single, like on a singles run. He needs
yeah,
to be, and then Bang Bang Gang, they're incomplete without Juice. Juice added so much
Yeah.
to that dynamic that they are
Oh.
severely missing it. Like, not that they're horrible and they're doing the best, but he brings so much energy and a different type of energy to it. And then he
Mhm.
makes and then when he's there, the guns play off of each other because one kind of acts like Juice and the other kind of acts like Jay. And so
Yeah.
they all feed off of each other. And so it's just Juice is so missed with them. And I think that's part of the reason why the Bang Bang Scissor Gang didn't really it kind of fizzled out really quickly because it just doesn't work. I think it didn't work the way they thought it would, and then it went on way too long on top of that. But
I think they were juicing that that gimmick for a little bit too long.
Yeah.
And when the thread that pulls the two together is Billy Gunn and not really
Yeah. And
the
that's the thing against Billy Gunn. Listen, Billy Gunn is great, and look at him out here kicking ass at
60 years old.
Yeah, he's just out here killing it. Good for him, but it's just also you're having him beat Jay White in a singles match. What are we doing?
That's a different discussion for another day.
Yes. And one thing before we switch matches is I don't know how the Dark Order got so directionless. And I really like them. I really like, and I think Reynolds and Silver are a fantastic tag team. I really love Evil Uno. Of course, I hate that Evil Uno and that Stu Grayson's not there anymore. As
same.
well. But just I really hate that Dark Order has they're just another team now, and I really hate that because I think they're way more talented than that, but they just don't have. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just their booking or they just don't. They wore, and I don't even want to say they wore out their welcome. It's just, and they was starting and stopping with storylines. The stuff they were doing with Stu Grayson last summer was really interesting, where Stu was going back and forth with them and the Righteous, and then they lose that match. The Righteous and Stu lost that match, and then we never see Stu again. That was literally Stu, when he got cut. I was looking. I was like, when was his last match? And it was Death Before Dishonor last summer. That's the last time. That was his last match ever in AEW or Ring of Honor. And I was like, what is happening here? Yeah, exactly. Jeez. What are we doing?
So a shirt that I purchased. So I have a love-hate relationship with pro wrestling tees.
Oh, I used to really like them, but I hate them.
I hate
for multiple reasons.
Yeah. We can talk about that on a different podcast too.
That was just reasons.
Yeah, reasons. I hate how long it takes, but I hate that all of their extended sizes are so much more, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And anything it's anything above an extra large. So, okay. But I like to wear my t-shirts big, I'm getting my swole on right now, so I'm feeling my shoulders fill out a little bit right now.
Right.
But I love a good 3X. I love a good 4X, right? Well, I got this shirt because I was like, I just wanted a 4X shirt because I really love wearing basically a shirt that goes, as long as my little biker shorts.
Right.
That's what I wear to the gym. It's fine.
Right.
The 4X and the 3X are just as long. There's no length differentiation. The only difference is the armpits. There's just a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
So I'm like, this sucks because it's like, oh wow, I paid an extra $1 for
yeah.
Not
it doesn't. Yes.
And that's how my John
had so many quality issues in the last few years, and I try to avoid them as much as possible, which sucks because if I had the money, I would probably buy every Mel Coleman piece of merch because her shirts are incredible, and if I had the money, I would probably just be like, here, take my money. But then on the other hand, I'm like, I don't want to get because their quality has gone down.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, we'll talk about the Outrunners match later,
Yes,
but that new shirt, that new merch by Mel Coleman, shout
perfect.
out Mel Coleman,
Yes,
like
yes.
a bright pink, a non-black wrestling shirt,
Right,
and
it's so them, like, if a wrestling shirt is ever gonna encapsulate the person who it's for, like, that's like, she understood the assignment, like, 10 out of 10
mhm,
no notes.
absolutely. And I have my Mel Coleman Sting shirt because that was one thing I had to get was the Sting shirt.
Yes,
Multiple.
I got the Sting shirt, the one that was hot pink and blue, and it
Yeah,
said it was for because since I was at his last show, I was like, well,
yeah.
I was like, that's it, that's the one I'm ordering. And then
Mhm.
like 2 weeks later, I think hers came out, and I was like, are you kidding
Are
me?
you ki
Like I literally like the shirt is on the way now, and I can't stop
Yeah,
it. And here it comes. Yeah,
great.
that shirt was that's a good shirt. That's
Well,
a good
it's so
one.
funny because I've worn it twice to the one time to the grocery store, like one time to work out and take a walk with the dogs. And every time I've worn it, somebody's gone, Sting. And I'm like, yeah, it is Sting. You
Sting.
know who Sting is, and Sting is just
We
the
love him.
icon, you know?
He is the epitome of that word. I love that guy. I love him so much.
Oh my gosh. But yeah,
I w
don't get me I mentioned all that because my 4X shirt is my Johnny Hungy shirt, and
the meat man.
it's one of my favorite shirts, and I just think that he, especially with the being the elite during the pandemic, like
Yes. Yes, that was, like, quality, like, BTE really hit a peak there in its stride and getting over, like,
mhm,
Dark Order and all of that stuff, and then, of course, like, I think we all love them, and then, of course, Brody passed, and that kinda just made them fan favorite. Like all the fans got behind them, and they had to turn them babyface because
yeah,
everybody
exactly.
loved them, and they had that great run, and then it just like fell apart, and they have never been able to
They
like
haven't been able to
get it back. And I don't, and it's a shame because they're three really talented wrestlers, and I really like them as a trios, and just they've gotten to the point where sometimes their matches are on, and you're just like, oh, it's a Dark Order match where that's
mm.
really disappointing to feel that way because they're way too talented to feel like that, I think.
I definitely agree. Well, speaking of Dark Order, not only that, we have this random Double or Nothing ad, which is like, oh, cool, great, Double or Nothing, and then we go right into Anna Jay versus Allison Kay.
Mhm.
Um, Anna Jay lately has just been getting match after match after match on AEW, on Ring of Honor, on Collision,
Mhm.
on Rampage. She's
Mhm.
freaking everywhere.
She
I mean, from where she started coming in during the pandemic, during
yeah.
those daily play
Is
days.
in when she came, and
Mhm.
she had 7 matches, which is insane. And yeah,
7. Wow.
yeah.
That's so wild. And to think like she's basically synonymous with the the women's division really in
Mhm.
AEW, and I think that she's become quickly I don't like saying pillars, but like if you wanna do a temperature check on what the crowd thinks of a specific wrestler, put them up against Anna Jay,
Yeah,
and
yeah, I hadn't thought about it like that, but you're right. Yeah, I
mhm,
would agree with that. She's she's improved so much. Like even like it feels like within just like the last 6 months, like felt like she was still like kind of had hit her limit almost
yeah,
before, and she just like I was, and people were like, she needs to go to Indies, or she needs to go to Japan, or like she's
mhm,
got to do something. Like she's kind of peaked, and then all of a sudden she just like comes out of nowhere and is like having these really good matches, and I was like, where has I'm so glad to see it. Like I'm glad because
yeah,
we need stronger women's matches, and even in Ring of Honor. And I was like, just, and if she's had these matches with these Joshi wrestlers, which have, of course, the Joshis make everyone look good, but she has definitely and I don't mean that as a bad thing. Like they just, but
mhm,
you have to rise to their level because they are so far ahead of everything else there. You have to, but then she's in these matches like and she looks good on her own, but then she's in matches with other women, and you
Mhm.
can see the improvement. And it's like, I don't know if it's just, and she also seems to have more confidence in the ring too. Like she's
Yeah.
just seems to really be kind of finally she's finally figured it all out. Like and they kind of backed her off of like her promos and stuff, which were definitely that was like
Ye
one of her weaknesses, where her promos
Yeah.
were not very good. Cause like I hated, like, I was like, having a fat ass is not a gimmick. Like, that's not a character. Like, good
If
for
it
you, but
was,
that is
I
not
would have gotten
I was like,
over.
this is not a character, ma'am. Like
Yeah.
you gotta, we need some more. And I was like, and it just feels kind of like a 90s WWE gimmick, like where they're
Mhm.
only wanting you for your yeah, don't tell that to NXT. Right. Like you're only, and I was like, it kind of felt like that. And I'm glad they kind of got away from that some. And then, but yeah, I don't know what it is, like what kind of like switch flipped for her, but I'm glad to see it. It's like
Absolutely.
I'm really glad to see. I wish they had not gotten 4.5 minutes, especially against Allison Kay, who
Who
was
can go?
yeah, like I expected like a 7 or 8 minute match, and I was timing it, and it was like 4:24, and I was like, or no, it was 4:34. Or no, I think that one was 3:40, 3:34, and then the next minute match got exactly a minute longer. It was 4 minutes and 34 seconds. I was like,
Oh my gosh.
what are we doing
I mean,
here?
the last episode that we saw Allison Kay was literally the week before against Abaddon,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Which I
also
expect squash matches from Abaddon. Like that's
yeah.
not, I mean, that's kind of what they're doing with them. And
I
so, which
mean,
is whatever. But I mean, sometimes they get like 6 or 7 minutes, and then sometimes, but it feels like around pay-per-views, like the week before, the week of, and the week after, like they just throw women out there, but they only give them like 3 and 4 minutes, and they're like, okay, check that off.
yeah.
Next women's match.
Hmm.
Okay, check that out. Look, we're giving them quantity. We're giving
Yeah,
them
geez. We did see I think my favorite Allison K match was against Athena because I think she went like almost 10 minutes or something.
I think so.
And I mean that was months ago. Athena was obviously going to win, but I think Allison K is definitely, I mean, she's been on NWA, she's been on Rampage, she's been on Impact
And she was at
slash
like
TNA.
when she was when it was Sinclair ROH, like she was one of the women that was on there all the time, and that they
Hmm.
used often. And so I felt like just throwing her out there for a 3.5 minute match or whatever. I was like, this is disrespectful to Allison Kay.
Yeah.
It was
I
like,
mean,
she already knows that she's gonna go in there like, okay, I have to put over Anna Jay because like she's hot right now, and they're not
yeah,
gonna have her dropping matches to me, even though I'm a veteran and I could beat her, like so. And I just, yeah, it's really
absolutely.
frustrating. I was like, can you at least make it like look a little harder? Because I
A
mean,
little
it is Allison.
convincing. Yeah,
Yeah, like give
exactly.
them 6 or 7 minutes. My goodness.
Oh my goodness. Well, I definitely enjoyed Anna Jay. I think that her Queen Slayer sleeper out of I don't want to say it was like out of nowhere, but it kind of was a little
It kind of was because
startling.
I had been thinking, I was like, how is she going to beat Allison Kay? Because this is Allison Kay,
Yeah.
and then she just kind of, and I was like, okay, that makes
Oh.
sense. Allison Kay's talking shit, not paying attention, and she fucked around and found out. They came around and she just
Mm,
locked in the Queen Slayer, and I was like, okay, that'll work. That's how you beat Allison Kay. I got it. I just wish it
mhm.
had been like 7 or 8 minutes long.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, from that match, we go right into a promo segment where Athena, Billy, and Lexi are in an emergency MEM Minion empowerment meeting. And Athena said that after her brawl with Queen Aminata and Red Velvet on Battle of the Belts this last Saturday, they were offering a scholarship to an
That
ass
was great.
whooping.
That was such a great line. And I laughed when she said it. I was like, okay,
Oh
that was
my
good.
gosh. I really enjoy that this has been the core of Ring of
Yes.
Honor
Yes.
for the last year.
Me too.
Uh, uh, what do you think? I mean, I know that we're going to talk about Red Velvet and Aminata's promo a little bit later, but what do you think about that tag team that's going to happen?
I think it's going to be great. I
Yeah.
really like all four women. Like, I'm a huge Athena fan. Like
Hmm.
Athena is the best women's champion in all of wrestling and any company. I don't care that she's behind a paywall. Like, listen, this was my argument before Will Ospreay came to AEW. You got a lot of you guys were paying $9.99 a month for New Japan to watch Will Ospreay. So I don't want to
Hmm.
hear, oh, she's behind a paywall, so it doesn't count. Okay, but you were paying to watch Will Ospreay matches, so I don't want to hear that argument. Your argument does not stand up.
Listen, Athena and Will Ospreay somewhere in the universe are having an intergender match, and I'm here
Right?
for it.
Please let us
So,
have this. I love, love, love Athena. I'm a huge fan of hers. I really like Billy a lot. Queen Aminata has. I saw her for the first time. I saw her on Dark and Elevation. Of course, these were like 2
mhm.
and 3 minutes. I went to DPW show last January of 2023, and I watched her wrestle Jada Stone, and I actually got to see her. It was like a 7-minute match, and I was like, where has this wrestler been? Like, why have I not
Right.
seen this? Like, she was doing what she's doing now. Like, I was like, where is she? Like, why is Tony not putting this on TV? What is wrong with it? Like, what is happening? And then finally he saw the light. Maybe she finally got his attention, and she's been incredible. And I think Red Velvet has improved so much. And since she's come back from her surgery, like, she's just been, her and Queen Aminata
On
both coming
fire.
off of surgery have
Mhm.
just been just going right for it. And they've been really good. And I think I'm really looking forward to this. And I'm glad that they're pushing Aminata and Red Velvet into and that's one of the things that I have really loved about Athena run is she brings women up with her. She doesn't try to be like, oh, well, I'm clearly the best wrestler here, and you can't be on my level. Like, she brings the women up with her, and she's really
Absolutely.
cultivated vision around everything she's doing. And even when she's not wrestling, she's doing the backstage segments, and she's building this character, and she's building the division. And she's like, Lexi is a completely different person than when she first started in AEW.
Mhm.
Like, she's like, Lexi has found her personality, she's found her voice, and like, she's so much fun. And like, God, the stuff she's doing was doing with Dalton Castle before Athena got mad at her and told her she couldn't be loud. Like, she's like, no, what are you doing? You only work for me. That, like, the stuff with Dalton was like incredible, and like, I love all of it, and I'm
Mhm.
really glad that they're keeping this as a focal point because it's really been fun.
Absolutely. Um, yeah, I agree with everything that you just said. I don't know much more that I could add to that, other than I think that Lexi Nair is the backbone of Ring of Honor, at least, especially with backstage segments. So,
Yeah, she's incredible. And from like what Tony has said on media calls before, like, it's usually him, Athena, and Billy kind of have built this entire story, but sometimes
mhm.
Lexi sits in with them and she
Mhm.
brings her own ideas, which is incredible. Like, you're letting that to let somebody that's just
Right,
not just but like, typically you don't see backstage announcers going in and meeting with the
right.
boss and being like, hey, I want to do this. I think we should do this in the story. Like, that's a huge deal to let
Yeah,
somebody like, so I think that says a lot about Lexi and what she's done since being with the company, to that she's now getting it to sit in on some of these meetings and be like, these are my ideas, and I think
yeah.
this is what we should do. And I like, that's a huge, I think that's a huge compliment to her, that
Mhm.
Tony sees that in her and allows her to do that, which I think is incredible.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's I mean, I don't think that we really see that um we haven't really seen that with a backstage person yet, I believe.
Yeah.
Um I do feel very salty about Dasha
Me
being
too.
released
And
just
she's
because
replaced by a and I, not to take anything away from the woman who replaced her, but was replaced by a woman who looks kind of similar to her and I feel
Yeah.
like that was like it feels kind of WWE-ish where we're just
Yeah.
swapping out like instead of swapping out one blonde for another, we're swapping. I mean, I just was like, what are we doing here? I was like, I mean, maybe there's something that happened backstage that we don't know about, but it hasn't come out, so it's just like
Yeah.
I don't understand I
I
don't
don't know.
like that at all, especially because Dasha was like
Such
she's so good for one thing, but
mhm,
she was filling in like when Justin had COVID, like she
mhm.
filled in for him and did like a phenomenal job. And like, yeah, I was really surprised when she was released. And then to have her replaced with another woman, and I was like, what are we doing here? And I don't want to take
Yeah.
away because I can't remember her name and
I
I feel
can't
bad
remember
about
her
that.
name
I don't
either.
remember her name either. And I feel bad, but I'm like, what are we and that's not fair to her. Like you took Dasha and you were like, here's your new job. And now she's like, oh, now I'm taking this woman's job and people liked her. And now you're just like, here, just go out here and take her job and
Right.
it'll be fine. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, I don't
It's
like that.
yeah, I mean, with as much as like Justin Roberts has kind of been specifically for uh I don't know, special pay-per-view events,
Mhm.
that I really thought that Dasha was such a good, I don't know, yin to his yang. So
Yeah,
uh,
I would agree with that. Yeah, it's unfortunate and I don't like it.
yeah, I don't
I
like it
I
either.
don't like that. Not
But
a good look.
oh well, we'll see where Dasha lands moving forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't I'm looking online to see if I can see this person's name, but I can't.
I've seen it like a couple times because I saw Renee talking about her when she first got hired, and it was
Mhm,
before Dasha got released. And I
mhm,
just don't remember. I know that she was like a Highland, like or the wait, what was it? It was the now I've blanked on what it was that she was doing. She's apparently like some kind of an athlete of some sort, and I think she's like also a gamer too or something like that. I don't know. It's a very
hmm.
interesting background from her to go to that to this is really interesting. And I was like, oh well, I mean, she
Oh
could make it work. It was just
yeah,
completely unexpected.
yeah. Ugh, but anyways, so back to our episode. We jump right into Johnny TV, which have you been watching Johnny Loves Taya,
I
right?
have
That's
not.
the
I enjoy them, but I kind of got out of the habit of watching like because BTE went away. I was like
yeah.
I watched some of I have seen Jordan. I've it's been sent to my text group and I have one of the group threads on Twitter I am in have been talking about it for the last few minutes. But Tony Khan is selling the neck injury. He is on the NFL draft wearing the brace. I have seen a photo of it and it's great. And Shad is sitting right behind him.
Oh my gosh.
He has committed to the bit.
So like I this is one thing that maybe because I'm so like I do wrestling and I do Bravo. Like those are my two
Okay.
things. So this whole world of like the NFL draft being like a huge thing, I thought
Yeah, like
was a joke.
I watch football and like I enjoy it, but I've kind of my team is not good. I'm a Panthers fan. We're struggling a lot. I am
Well,
very happy with some of the coaches and stuff, but like, so the draft is not something like there's been a few times that I have watched it, but like, I don't go out of my way to watch it. But there are people, wrestling fans, who are watching tonight just to see if Tony would commit to the bit. And I saw people, they're like, I don't
uh,
care. I just want to know. And then he did. And which I figured that he would because I just figured that's where he was going with it. But then they said that
yeah.
they filmed the parking lot brawl and he was wearing it on the closed set for the parking lot fight. I always want to call it parking lot brawl, but it's parking lot fight. And but yeah,
Yeah.
he apparently wore the neck brace for the filming of that. So I appreciate him committing to the bit because it makes it even more hilarious.
Yeah. At least he's not wearing a neck brace to a trial about steroids, right?
Exactly. My sister was saying that she was hoping. I don't know if you watched TNA, but what was Impact at the time? Caleb Conley used to be on there, and he would always, and he was with Tanil Dashwood, and he
Mhm.
wore a neck brace for like a year, and even though he didn't need to, and he had a bow tie. He would wear bow ties with his.
Oh
So
my
my sister
gosh.
was like, "I hope Tony wears it with a bow tie."
That would be so yeah, that would have been great. Oh my gosh. Oh, what a fun sell. But yeah, Ring of Honor. How do we segue into that? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Johnny
right.
TV versus Will Austin. We've seen Will Austin before.
Yes, because I thought they were gonna say Will Ospreay both times. Because the way he says Austin, and I'm like, Osprey, that's not
Oh,
where Will Ospreay is not on honor. He does not know where Honor Club is at. He too does not know.
yeah,
I did not see that man ever.
bruv.
Even if he won, he could win the ROH pure title and he would never be on Honor Club.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this
But
was another match I was not really paying attention
this
to, and
match,
I was like, I need to not do that when, especially when it's like up and coming talent. Like, I need to pay attention better, and so like, but I was on my phone.
so this match, I know that this match was right before um the Dynasty
Okay.
pay-per-view.
Uh-huh.
So it was the collision before was the dark match. So it's kind of like,
Okay.
okay, I get why it was so short. I get why the crowd was like,
Okay.
meh, okay,
This is a
cool.
match.
This is a match. You know, Johnny TV is going to do the things that he does. And
Yeah.
yeah,
It was just another win for old Johnny TV.
yeah.
Do you
Um,
watch Johnny Loves Saya?
I have watched it. So here's the thing: there's so many episodes, and I watched the first two, and
Okay.
I think there was 10 episodes.
Yeah, I saw that they had like their season finale or something like
Yeah.
a week or two ago or something like that. But yeah, I like them both, but I don't know that I like them enough that I would watch it. Like I've got a bazillion other things to watch.
Apparently, this is a thing that also is like it's on All Elite Wrestling's YouTube, right?
Mhm.
So why are they not also promoting this on AW television?
They did, and it's weird because they did like before it premiered, they promoted it a
Oh.
couple times. Like I feel like there's little graphics up. I feel like they did. Maybe I'm confusing it with Ring of Honor.
I've only
I
seen it
could
on Ring
be.
of Honor,
I feel
so
like they did promote it on AEW, but it must have been like once. They're
yeah.
like, "Oh, by the way, we have this new show on our YouTube channel." But they're like not even promoting their new gaming show with Adam Cole and
I know.
Evil Uno. Like I don't think that they've promoted that really either. And I'm like, what are you
Well,
doing?
but what I do know is that Johnny TV, Johnny Mundo, Johnny, whatever you want to call him, he is shirtless for a lot of the show.
I mean, I don't blame him. Like, I don't mind looking at him. Sorry,
More abs.
more
More
abs.
abs.
More abs. I mean, they're not quite corn on the cob abs. And then
Ugh,
like, but then there's Tony Nese abs, and then there's like Johnny TV abs. Like
you
he has
know,
like parkour abs, I guess.
yeah, that's true. It's a very different variant level of abatry, right?
Yes.
But yeah, the entire season is on. I just looked at AW Wrestling, their YouTube page. The whole season one, 57 minutes and 15 seconds. So if you have an hour of your life to dedicate
That's not
to,
so bad.
it's not
Okay.
terrible. I feel like it
Yeah.
was longer in my brain.
Yeah, I didn't
But
realize it was that short. So if you can
yeah.
watch an entire season in an hour, that's pretty good because
Yeah.
BTE would be out here being like 30, like
Yeah.
would be like 45 minutes. Like
I
I
would
would
be
spend
watching.
my lunch break
Yeah, I was about to
watching.
say watching it on my lunch break during the especially during the pandemic.
Yeah, and I work from home, but still like my sister would be like, okay, it's Monday. BTE's on, like we would stop it, like it's time to go watch BTE.
Yeah.
And then and I watched some of Being the Dark Order, and then I just kind of got out of the habit of it, and we were watching AEW, and then I ended up getting, not that we have to watch them in order, but I'm way behind on that. I'm like
Yeah.
probably close to a year behind on it now. Because we're always like, yeah, we'll catch up, and then we'll watch like 3 or 4 episodes, and the other thing is they're kind of hard to find. Like, I know they put them together like in those things, but if you're trying to find the episodes, it can be a little difficult to navigate sometimes, especially if you're watching on your TV. It's a little
Right.
harder to navigate, and it's like it's not that hard, and it's a very first world problem. But
Well, like
it's
whoever does their social media, like they do it so that you are scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. What I need
right.
is like, give me all hate EW episodes, so I'm not going through the list or having to go one by one, because even as I'm opening it, it's like, this is just like, oh, there's like a Chris Statlander playlist. So it's like
Yeah.
there's, like, oh, there's an Adam Copeland, episode. Like, okay, like, but where is just the playlist of, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it
Yeah.
needs to be
More
uh
streamlined.
a little bit more streamlined and a little bit more central, because if you're banking on, oh my gosh, I just saw a clip of when RJ City did the funny vignettes with with all the wrestlers in the car when he was
Oh,
pretending to
those
be
were
the
great, like, right
chauffeur.
before they hired him,
Road
like,
to,
before.
yeah, Double or
Yes,
Nothing or whatever.
yes, those were great. Yes. Yeah, it
But
was funny because somebody was asking Tony about RJ City, and he was like, "I just think he's really funny," and he popped me, and I was like, "Hey, do you wanna come do this?" And then it
yeah,
turned into him getting hired and doing this, and now he's part of the Wrestle Aunties with, or Wrestle Ants with, Renee,
yeah.
and I'm glad
You
I
know,
love RJ, he's great.
it's so funny because I have always known RJ City as the wrestler who never wrestled. So before
Yeah.
AEW, he just never wrestled.
Yeah, every
And
time I saw him, it was like because he was doing that podcast, the coffee in his underwear, and like so
yeah,
every time I saw him, like he was just in his underwear, like, and I was like,
yeah.
does he
He
wrestle?
just
Like,
does he ever wrestle? I think he's just
yeah,
a person now. And then um for some reason, oh, it was the Dark Side of the Ring episode. I was like, he tag team with David Arquette. That makes sense. That makes sense to me.
on brand, yeah. And apparently
Yeah.
they're like really close. And then they did the Family Feud episode, like then they had
Yeah.
David Arquette on there, and RJ was on there with him, and Dalton Castle, and I'm
That
trying to remember who the other
that
two
makes
were.
sense that they're
Yeah,
all
when I saw this
friends.
group of people, yeah, I was like, yep, it all tracks.
That it makes so much
Just all
sense.
fits.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, love those little episodes on there. I think that Johnny Loves Taya is a very good way for people to see the character that is, Johnny TV and
Yeah.
Taya. But I just think that if you want to watch something that is wrestling related but not wrestling, it's great. So now I have to go finish it and I'll report back to you guys.
Please do.
Also, their dog is very cute. So,
Yes. Yes,
I'm a big advocate for that. So,
definitely.
well, this episode, it keeps going. We'll see Taya later. I'm not yawning. My brain just needs oxygen. Okay.
All right.
We have the Mogul Embassy, which I was just saying in my brain on Sunday when Swerve won. Where's the Mogul Embassy? Where are they? What are they doing? Where is the
Waiting. I
embassy?
guess they got left on Honor Club. Like they couldn't get out. They got trapped. They're like, no, you've escaped one time.
Yeah.
We're gonna put you back in here. Yeah, I don't know why they weren't out there. That was really that's very odd. And then they pointed out tonight about how Nana wasn't there, and I was like, well,
Mhm.
Nana's with the champion, so he's got
Yeah.
more important.
He's
Got
feasting.
priorities,
Right.
and it's not you guys,
He's getting fed, and
right?
you guys need to catch
Yeah.
up.
Right.
But we had the version of Brian Cage, Khan, and Toa Leona versus the one called Manders and
Yes.
Beef Tank, which is
Yes.
Beef and Calvin Tankman,
Yes.
which holy beef city. This
I
match
want
was perfect.
Yes, I want Beef Tank to wrestle Iron Savages.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was when we were watching, I was like, "Wait a minute. We need Iron Savages," which I was
More
like,
of
"Yes."
this.
Yes, and
Yes.
especially because somebody was holding up the meat sign, and I was like, "Yes, we need." I was like, "We need Iron
Where
Savages
is
for
the meat
them."
shirt, right?
Bring
Like
them
just the proceeds of all the meat, like just have like a flank steak on it,
right,
right? And then all the proceeds go to the guys who have meat, you know?
right. I think that's a phenomenal idea.
Split a protein shake. I don't know how that works, but
Buy
uh
uh, some more protein pre warm ups.
but this match was just beefy. It was great to
Was
see big men doing beefy things,
right.
wrestling with the beefs.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Mogul Embassy took the win here, but I
Cool.
just love seeing
Yeah, it was
more beef on
fun, and
display.
yeah, because so, like, Calvin Tankman, I've seen quite a few times, and he wrestles for DPW, and so I was at DPW show in December, and he won the title,
Ooh.
at that show, and it was yeah, I really like Calvin Tankman. He's definitely and it's almost stereotypical to say, but he's, like, one of those big dudes who's agile and can, like, do all these things that he should not be able to do, and I really like him a lot, and then
Mhm,
Manders, I've seen a lot because of SGC from GCW. Well,
mhm.
they're not doing. Mance is a heel now, and they're not from there's not friends anymore, and they're kind of doing
Yeah.
their own. But yeah, but Manders. So it's great to see Manders like do that type of stuff. So I was excited for this, and I don't think I've seen Beef before, but I enjoyed Beef Tank very much, and I hope that they bring them back to give us the match with Iron Savages, because now that I have thought about it, I need it to happen. So if somehow Tony Khan is listening to this, or somebody can get a message to Tony Khan, please let him know. I did tweet it. It's in the universe, but we're just gonna put it out there once again in the universe. Please let us have Beef Tank versus
Absolutely.
Iron Savages.
Can I just say though, Beef, Tankman, and Manders are all 30 or under.
Yeah.
Like they're young whippersnappers here.
Right.
And just keep beefing. That's all I
Keep
need.
beefing. Yeah. Oh, that was funny. Wait, no, I can't remember if it was this match or if it was the Iron Savages match from last week. And yes, they are ML, well, at least Manders and I don't know if Beef is, but I know Manders and Calvin Tankman are as well. 'Cause that's where I saw more of Calvin Tankman. But
Mhm.
I can't remember if it was the Iron Savages matches I watched from last week or if it was this one. But Caprice got his meats confused because he said, "Is this Arby?" And then he said, "Where's the beef?" And I was like,
Oh yeah.
"No." I was like, "That's Wendy's." And then Arby's is we have the meat. So you're getting your beef crossed.
Yeah, we're crossing beefs here. Got a beef stream here.
We
All
are.
right, hold on. I'm gonna blow my nose.
You're fine.
I probably should have done that off camera because that probably was weird. Um,
You're fine.
people get weird about touchy
They
noses. I don't
do.
know.
They do.
They're weird, uh, but yeah, that was a great match. Went right into a video package of more meat. Uh,
This
Andre
is
in the
true.
chat says you never cross the beefs.
Better for Caprice. You don't cross the
Oh
beefs,
my
sir.
gosh. But we did go right into a video package. And so we've had it. Josh Woods was first. Then last week was Tony Nese. This one was Aria Davari, narrated by the Mark Sterling. These video packages have been so good. It has reignited my love for all of these guys. Adding Aria
Mhm.
Davari is just more shades of
Mhm.
awesome.
Yes.
Uh, so many abs.
So many abs in this
Mhm.
group. It should not be premier athletes. They should be premier abs.
The premier athletes.
Athletes.
Oh, but Arya, yeah, the video package, Arya Davari desires to be the best. And in order to be the best, you have to surround yourself with the best.
And get away from the trust busters. Bless those. They're all, bless their hearts. All of them are gone except Arya is the only one left. But
I think that's been a theme for Arya Davari.
That was a rough thing.
Listen, I only pay attention to the things that I like.
Attention. Do you know every single one of these people we have talked about with their abs all have dark hair? Every single one of them.
I haven't noticed.
No, I didn't either until just now. I was like, yes, I pay attention to their hair. And I was like, wow, Jay, Johnny.
Yeah.
All of them have dark hair. Interesting.
I love a dark hair and I love a good spray tan. It's because I'm a Jersey queen, you know? Like,
right. Okay. So you like what you like.
Yeah.
Well, that's like, okay. So, and I can say it's like it's last week, and I've talked about this before because Jon Moxley came out in jeans and a white t-shirt, and then he added a leather jacket. And I was like, maybe I am a basic Southern girl. I really enjoy white t-shirts and jeans. And then he just add a leather jacket, and I'm that gif of Blanche Devereaux where she's spraying water on herself. So I was like, so no, I get it. If that's a Jersey thing, then I was like, I guess this is a very basic Southern thing. Maybe that's for the jeans and the white t-shirt. I really like the way that looks. And then you add the leather jacket and it's like a whole other level.
You know, it's so funny because being a queer bisexual over here, I am wooed by just the most superficial things. Abs. Does not matter the gender. You have abs and I'm just
very fair.
That's all I need. I mean, even Sunny Kiss, like in all their glory, all of everything. I just am so mesmerized. Jade Cargill.
I just saw Sunny last Friday.
Oh my gosh.
She was in the main event of the show that I was at, and she wrestled Darius Carter. And then I saw her then she was here in February for the same company, and I got to interview her for like 3 minutes after the show. Bless her heart. She had an early flight. And she's like, I can give you like 3 minutes. I was like, perfect. I will take it. I'm like, I got my questions ready. Let's go. And we we nailed it. And I got my article out of it. But yeah, Sunny's great. And of course, in person is beautiful and just even more incredible. Yeah. Very fabulous. Just yes. I love her.
the first time I ever met her, it was at my local promotion where I got my start, and me on like in the ring, on stage, like on podcasts, I am who I am. It's just whatever. I get very nervous when I'm in front of people, and it was one of those things I was like, I'm not gonna like fuss with my hair or my nails or whatever. And I was like, oh shit, Sunny is gonna be here. So I love bright colors. I think it emphasizes for the fact that I can't do makeup or hair or other things sometimes. So I just had like neon green eyeshadow, neon green nails, and like a scrunchie in my hair. And I was like, hi, I love you so much. And she was like, oh my gosh, look at you. And like obsessing over me. And I'm like, no. I'm here to obsess over you. Like,
right.
I'm just going to cry.
And isn't that like the best feeling? You're like, yeah, that's so cool.
Absolutely. But another person who should be in AEW still, but I digress. But
yeah. Yes. And then breaking her up from Joey Janela, I was like, "What are you? That worked so
doing?
Well. Yeah, that worked so well. And like, you have people practically like they're literally begging you to put Sunny on TV, and then you have her with Joey, and it works. And It worked so well, and then they turned them so quickly, and I was like, "What are you doing, breaking them up already?" And then they just didn't do. Yeah,
their feud was like limited to to Dark and Elevation, and it
Yeah, and I
was
was like, I mean, that's good
just
for me because I'm watching this show, so I'm glad that I'm being entertained. Like people would be like, "Why is this happening on Dark?" Well, okay, I watch Dark, so I would like to see like more than just random matches between, while people are
right.
padding their records.
Give me a
Britt
story,
Baker, your
please.
Britt Baker
Reward
padding your
me.
record down on Dark so that you could become the number one contender.
Exactly. Oh, wow.
I digress again. In the words of Taz, I digress.
I
I
digress.
digress, Jones.
I digress. Yeah, Joan. Oh my gosh. Love
I love
that.
Taz. He's so
So
great.
yeah, with that said, we go into another match. Layla Gray comes out, who has been having such a revival here, in my opinion,
Glad.
seeing her again. The gear, phenomenal. If I'm just gonna
Yeah.
like, I think the presentation also, like, I know that Adam Copeland said on this week's episode of AEW Unrestricted is part of your presentation. You could do all the wrestling in the world, but if you don't have the appearance and the music, what do you got? You're
Right.
just a wrestler in a ring. And I think that Layla Gray has that look down, and I'm hoping that this leads to something more than just being part of the baddies.
And she even said tonight, she was like, "I'm still a baddie."
Yeah, she
Like,
said that
yeah.
exactly,
It's like, "I'm
which
still a baddie."
absolutely. I mean, she is, she she is getting better in the ring, and we saw that kind of tonight, but her match being against the cutest Yuka Sakazaki,
Yes.
it was kind of short, but it was so much fun.
It was a lot of fun. Yuka is a lot of fun, and I think you can't you have to have fun if you're in a match with her because she's
Mhm.
just so much fun to watch, and, I thought this match was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I with Yuka getting the win, I'm wondering what this is going to lead to, if we're actually going to do something more with Yuka along the way, more exposure
Yeah, because
or
I feel like Caprice said she was the number one contender or was
Mhm.
close to being something like that, and I was like, "Well, they did Athena versus Yuka early on in ROH." Like, and was that I can't remember if it was a ROH TV match or if that was the Supercard match last year. Or wait, that was Nia Yamashita, right?
I am gonna
She
look.
wrestled Yuka
So
Sakazaki early last year. Like, I feel like it was one of the
it
early
was in
episodes.
March 31st,
Okay.
20. So it was at Supercard
Okay, see,
in
that's what I thought. Okay, it was
2023.
Supercard. Okay. Yeah, and I don't think they've wrestled since then. I don't think.
Mm-mm. They have not. Before that, though, a few weeks before that, it was Sky Blue and Yuka teaming against Athena and Diamante,
Oh, okay.
which that was on an elevation. So
Right, of course.
before Athena, kind of started getting her momentum into
Mhm.
uh, the title reign that she's had. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was the last time that we've seen Yuka in the title picture. I'm interested to see what this would look like now if we're going to go towards that again.
Mhm.
Um, but Yuka has been hanging out in TJPW,
Right.
really kicking ass and taking names, even though that she is the cutest.
Yeah.
But
She's a
I
little
mean, there was a
magical girl.
time limit draw match against Mizuki, which was like
Oh,
at their anniversary show, which was it was so cool.
I bet.
I'll just put
That sounds awesome. No, that sounds
that.
awesome. That sounds really
But
good. But yeah, that'll be interesting. And I kind of wonder because her Athena's thing. Well, I mean, she's always kind of said it, but she's leaned into it more, especially with the Sheeta match. That she's the American Joshi. So I
mhm.
wonder if it will be a Joshi that takes the title off of her
Ooh.
because she says that. But then I know that she's been asking for because she's told Tony, she's like, I want to go to Japan, but if you're not going to send me there, then bring them to me, which we've
Yeah.
seen him doing. And so now that they've got the relationship with Stardom, I assume we're going to see more of that. But I am curious if it will take an actual Joshi to beat the American Joshi.
Yeah. So the last 3 times that Yuka has been on AW/ROH television. We saw Yuka come back, defeat Trish Adora at Collision.
Mhm.
Then the 20th was last week on Rampage. Yuka defeated Emi Sakura.
Oh, that match was
So
good.
another I hate saying pillar, but it's like if you're gonna have anyone
Yes.
test of strength against
Yes.
someone in the AEW
Mhm.
locker room, it's gonna be Emmy, and then
Yes.
we have this against Layla. So I feel like Yuka is well on her way to a number one contendership, maybe even being Billy Stark's
Yeah, I could see that.
TV.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that.
But so from this match, we went. I mean, it was a short match, so there's not much to say.
Yeah. It was a
We
good one.
go right into Lexi Nair interviewing who the fuck is Griff Garrison. I'm always going to say that.
I do too, because Faye said Griff Garrison, and I said to myself, and I said under my breath, who the fuck is Griff Garrison?
Who the fuck is
I was
Griff
like,
Garrison?
it's an automatic.
Why is that not on a shirt? Is that on a shirt? It
I
should
don't
be on a
know,
shirt.
because I mean, we've been saying it for what, three or 4 years now. Like, it should be, that needs to be merch. Maybe Mel Coleman can figure out a very cool way to put it on a shirt. Just like have it with his hair or something, and it just says who, I don't know. It should just be like his face, like a face with like his hair. So, and then has just like, who the fuck is Griff Garrison?
Exactly.
I mean, just something like that. I'm sure Mel can make it look way cooler than what I just described. There's your premise, Mel.
Yeah, here it is. You have 3 days to figure this out now.
Right.
But Griff Garrison, Cole Carter, they're talking about how they keep losing, and they're losing up. Well, I lost my number one contendership. Well, I lost my, everyone.
Yeah.
Cool, great, awesome. Maria comes in and is like, yeah, you guys lost, but these are learning opportunities.
Yeah.
And said the rest of the locker room would be jealous of their success at some point. Yawn, sleep fest, yawn, yawn, yawn. What the heck? I don't
is not
personally
moving.
get this.
Yeah, it's not moving anywhere. It's just kind of stalled, and yeah, I was like, where are we going with this? And then they kind of dropped the stuff because Maria was doing the stuff where she was trying to turn Rachel Ellering and Layla Hirsch against each other, I guess. And like was getting involved in their matches and like caught like tripping them up. And then she would just be like, and then like, I was like, where are we going with this? And then I guess nowhere, because they dropped it. And I mean, part of it I think is because Rachel got hurt during the women's tournament. But I was just like, what are we doing here? Like, I mean, because I'm like, Maria has like, she's such a smart person and she does really well with the women's division. Like, I don't know, this is not translating, at least not for me, and it just feels like it's gone on a very long time. And like, I was like, why do you still have Serpentico's mask when Serpentico and Angelico beat you?
Right.
Like, why do you still have this mask? They beat you. You should give the mask back. Like, it's not a trophy anymore.
And like their whole, promo last week with them being like, well, you're right. It got us our contendership. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you like? Are we on the same page? I don't think that we are.
No.
But sorry,
yeah, I don't know. I mean,
chapstick
and I don't know what else they could be, because I was like, I mean, what else can you do with him? I feel like Griff is kind of boxed in, and Cole doesn't have a lot of experience, and I guess I don't know. It just feels like they never know what to do with Griff Garrison.
I know.
And they just kind of paired. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe this will get some, and they're not really. I mean, Griff did have a match with Mark Briscoe, which I've not gotten to yet. I still have I think I have like 2 matches left. I think I'm almost done with last week's episode. But of course, I know he's not going to win that Proving Ground match. But spoiler alert, I know who's going to win. I can tell by looking at the graphic. But
well,
yeah,
that's the fun part.
Right, this is true. But yeah, I don't know what's happening here. I'm trying to just be patient and see how it plays out, because what else are you going to do with them? Unfortunately, like, I don't think they have anything else for them, so they're just going to have to make it work, I guess.
I don't like it. I love Maria. I love Griff Garrison. I don't know how this is
Yeah,
all gonna
yeah.
work together.
Cole Carter's just kind of there, and I didn't like the way he was like hitting on her and stuff. Like, I get it, she's
Yeah.
beautiful, but and you're young, but it just felt very WWE, like just like that. Just
I
kind of
mean,
felt gross. I
I
mean, I'm
feel like
sure
if
Maria like has the autonomy, and she's like giving her input and was like, yes, sure, we can do this. But where before she
right.
didn't have a choice, but it just still feels it just feels kind of gross. So it's like, and your
It
husband is like right there.
literally right there.
Like
Yeah.
we know that your husband is one half of the ROH tag team champions, even though he's like never here on Honor Club. Like, we know that that's your husband, and it's just
Well,
kind of weird
speaking
to
of
me.
which, we go right into a proving
Yes.
ground match, which it I know that we talked about the new um the new ring announcer, but she didn't say proving ground match, and at the end she said and still,
I didn't even catch that.
and I was like, "Oh, this is a proving ground match. Now you're losing the luster of it."
Yeah.
I mean, that's one part about Ring of Honor that's a huge piece is you
Mhm.
get proving ground matches if you
Yeah.
last the 10 minutes.
Right. I
You
prefer
get
the proving ground matches to the eliminator matches. I don't
uh,
like the eliminator matches.
absolutely.
And I like that the proving ground, because I like it's either you last 10 minutes or you beat the champion to earn it. Like, the
Mhm.
eliminator just feels like it's, and the way they use the eliminator matches, like, they don't generally like, because I wasn't Swerve versus Kyle an eliminator match.
Mhm.
I'm like,
Why?
why? Like, they
Why?
don't, they're usually when they had kind of gotten away from doing the eliminator matches, and then they brought them back, and I'm like, why? What are we? Why? You're not, but like the proving ground matches make sense, especially against somebody like Athena. Like,
Mhm.
Athena's been champion for 500 days. She's at 50-0 in ROH sanctioned matches. Like, you should prove yourself against her to get a
Yeah.
shot. Like that, I don't have an issue with. But even here, like, I thought this was fine. Like, I mean, it kind of sucks because like the tag teams aren't, the tag team champions are hardly ever on our club. So you just
Yeah.
have tag teams just having matches, but it's not for, they're not even building it for a number one contendership. Like, I'm like, what are you? They're like,
What are we
oh, proving
doing?
ground match, and thankfully, like, the infantry won their proving ground match, which I think it's hilarious that the undisputed kingdom, that's the first time ever in ROH history that somebody beat the champion. Like, I
Yeah,
thought,
right?
like, that's really, I think, to me, that's just really funny, and that it was those two. Like, I don't know, I was like, maybe I shouldn't think it's as funny as I do, but it is funny to me. And then the infantry, and I'm glad the infantry got that shot, but I'm like, they have such a solid tag team division. I'm like, get your tag team champions down here, or at least let these, they're just, I was like, then, because otherwise they're just wrestling, like, they're just having matches, like, you're not building towards anything. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. I mean, at least, well, I mean, I even posted that. I was like, well, the bar is up here, right?
Hmm.
That's the bar right now because
Right.
they
The
have not been
champion.
appearing. None of our champions have been appearing. So
No.
our Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions appeared and had a proving ground match, and they had to cheat in
Hmm.
order. So,
I
for
mean, I
those that
guess
didn't,
that's the
yeah,
tactics that you expect from the undisputed kingdom.
right.
But, like, you're the champions. You should, and not, and this is not to say anything bad about the Outrunners, but, like, you should not have to cheat to beat the Outrunners. Like,
Yeah.
they're not a
So,
tag team that's been built up a lot. Like, I can see cheating against the infantry or the workhorsemen or something like that. But
right.
and I thought this match was actually a lot of fun, though. I was like, I will give that. Like, I think the Outrunners, like, they're a fun team, but I thought this match was a lot of fun. They made the Undisputed Kingdom actually like work. They made them put in work, and I guess, I mean, they had to cheat to beat them. Like, that's how good the Outrunners look. It was like, I think they said it lasted like 7 minutes and 36 seconds, and they only have to last
Mhm.
10. So they
Mhm.
got like really
Everybody
close
was
to that
getting
mark.
yeah, everybody was getting their ish in. I mean, if
Yeah.
that's they were going blow to blow, doing their best on each other, and coming up short on that 3 count. And yeah, it did take. I love in Ring of Honor when your champions are heels, because they do the dishonor things, or they
Yeah.
do the cheaty things, or they
Yeah.
don't adhere to your rules. I love that. I think
Yes.
that plays into the storyline so
Yes.
much more. But the Outrunners, you can see it on the horizon. They're going to be a big deal in this division and in
I
this
hope so.
company.
Yeah, I really like
So
them. They're fun. And and another thing that was fun with this is Bryce straight up asked them afterwards, and they like, I guess if they cheated, because he
yeah,
obviously, and they were, and Caprice was like, he's lying through his teeth. And
yeah,
it's like, cause, and he was like, and Bryce knew it, but he had no way to prove it.
no way
And
to
Bryce
prove it.
was, and
Mhm.
they got straight to him. Cause I've never seen Bryce. I don't, not that I can think of. I don't remember a heel like the referee straight up asking, "Did you cheat to win this match?" Like
Yeah.
I thought that kind of added a cool thing to it, because he was like, "Wait a minute, like they almost had your number and you
Mhm.
conveniently beat them like really quickly, and like, did you do like this feels like you did no, I we didn't."
I would never do that.
No, we're
Yeah,
the
it
Undisputed
does.
Kingdom. We don't do that here. We don't have Wardlow come cheat in our matches for us.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of which, oh my gosh. Just the Adam Cole returning in his wheelchair, doing the walk like he was Lazarus rising from the dead, and everyone's like,
Yes.
"Oh my gosh." But the
So
eyes.
cheesy, but perfect for him.
Yeah, the eyes that he gave Wardlow. That split second, I was like,
Yeah, that's gonna be fun when we get that. And I
"We're
was a little
telling
surprised that they did
stories."
that, because like the story that came out like a week before that was
Mhm.
they had that Adam was still not anywhere close to being healed. Being
Yep.
on the road is hurting him because he's having to travel too much. And then he just pops up on Dynasty and he stands up. And I was like, so is he better than we thought? Or is like, where are we going with this? And then they, like, yes, like you said, they tease the little Wardlow thing. And we're like, ooh, okay. So I'm like, I feel like you have to like follow up on that, and not like, if Adam Cole's not clear, like why are we teasing this so early? So I
Right.
feel like, yeah.
Although, I do have to say, Wardlow seems to keep having car issues, and I know I don't wanna
Bless
say
his
that.
heart. I did not expect him to be out there, because he tweeted literally like
Mhm.
5 minutes before, the devil wants to keep me. And I was like, is this a reference to the other
Right.
devil named Maxwell, or the
Yeah.
devil named Adam
Adam
Cole?
Cole, yeah.
That Adam Cole devil. And yeah, and he like wrecks his car, or posts this car wreck, and then he's like on TV. And I was like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, I thought you weren't even
Wait
at
a
the
minute.
venue. Like, I thought you were
Exactly.
still on the side of the road taking this picture in real time.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, "Oh, geez." And then all of a sudden he shows up, and then we're having this Adam Cole piece, and I'm like, "Is this the devil?" Because remember when
Right.
Wardlow claimed that the TNT title got stolen out of the
Mhm.
back of his car, and then we found out that it was a part of the angle, and
Right.
whatever.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Yes.
I don't know. We'll
Yeah,
see.
I
It
think
makes
there's
me
something there with
excited.
that. I think there's something there with that, and I'm really excited to where this could go. And it feels like people keep joking about like MJF coming back, and I was like, I think if he comes back at Double or Nothing, Wardlow might like legitimately murder him, because I was like,
Oh no,
he's
I don't want to watch a
2 years
murder.
ago. I was like, we all know what happened 2 Double or Nothings ago. Like, it nearly
Yep.
tanked Wardlow. Like, it ruined his run and
I
everything, and then they
know.
pushed him, and then they keep dropping the ball with him. And I was like, he MJF might be unalived if or if he shows up. Wardlow might like legit. I was
Yeah.
like a little worried about that. Y'all might want to not let Wardlow be there that day.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. But we saw our champions. If you're gonna watch, I would say if you're gonna watch any match for episode 61, I
Mhm.
would watch that one, because there is so
Yes.
much story, and I think it's going to
Yes.
come back and be referenced
I think
quite a
so
few
too.
times in the future.
Mm,
But
I think so too.
all right, we do cut to another backstage promo. I had already mentioned this earlier, but Queen Amanada and Red Velvet do respond to Athena, Billy Starks, where they said that they don't feel sorry about ruining Athena's moment during
Mm-mm.
Battle of the Belts.
I think Amanado straight up was like, I dropped her on her head. What are you
Yeah.
going to do
What
about
are
it?
you gonna do? Yeah. I dropped you on your head. What are you gonna do? Right?
Fight me.
And it just this promo just sets up Queen Amanada and Red Velvet versus Athena and Billy Starks.
Yeah,
I love it.
me
Let's
too.
go.
Yep. I thought it was a great way to keep that going, and they both cut. I thought the promo segment went really well for them. I really liked it, and this match is just going to be. I'm really looking forward to this match, and then that because we're getting the tag match out of it. Then I was like,
Mhm.
they can do Red Velvet versus Billy. They could do Queen Amanada and Athena, and then Queen Amanada can hopefully get her rematch back on Billy, especially after the way Billy
Oh my
won.
god, the way that she won.
Yeah, so I was like,
Very
they could.
controversial.
Yeah. Yes, and so I was like, they could do a lot with the story, I think, with the four of them. And again, Athena is bringing up two other women with her and Billy, and was like, let's do this. So I like this a
Absolutely.
lot.
Well, we jump right into Taya Valkyrie on the show versus Lainey Luck. Uh I love Lainey Luck. Every independent show that I've gone to, she in the last, I guess, year and a year and a half,
Mhm.
she's just randomly been on it, and I've
Oh,
loved it.
awesome. Yeah, I've
We
seen her. I've never seen her in person. I've seen her pop up here and there, and then of course, like when she's on these
Mhm.
things, she's only there for like 3 minutes, so I don't
Yeah.
get to see like what she can really do. But she's a like from what I've seen, she's a very solid wrestler, and they clearly bring her back for a reason. Like I feel like they at least
Mhm.
know that she'll give a good match to whoever she's facing, and they clearly feel comfortable, bringing her in.
Uh, I definitely agree. I think that we are seeing a version of Taya that is a little more cocky, and I love that piece of Taya when she's just a little bit cocky and a
Like,
little bit,
mhm. Yeah.
ab- all about herself.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, if I've gone to freelance wrestling over in Chicago, and Lainey is such a great asset to their promotion.
Mhm.
They GPA and Lainey were the tag champs over there, and
Oh, right. Yeah, I think I do remember hearing
mhm,
about that.
they lost it to Bussy, which Effie and Alley Catch are my favorite of all time.
I
But
love them.
Lainey, just an indie darling. This match was short, so I don't know. It just showed everything that Taya, all of her assets out in the world, and
Mhm.
we'll see what they do with her. I don't know. It kind of sucks because I feel like Taya is such a it. She's too good to be an afterthought, like she's too good to
Agreed.
just be squash match after week after week after week.
Mhm. Agreed.
And there was such a I don't know, maybe if a Queen Aminata ends up getting the world title or goes back for that TV title and gets it, that they'll return back to Queen Aminata and Taya Valkyrie, because I think that could go 2-3 rounds.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, fantastic wrestlers,
Mhm. Mhm.
but it just kind of sucks that like one of your best women's wrestlers on your show is just limited to 3-minute squash matches.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate, especially because they didn't really have the room for Taya in AEW as far as the way they were booking things, and she's really
Yeah.
like, and I think ROH needs somebody besides Athena to anchor them, and Taya is a veteran. She's wrestled
Mhm.
all over the world. She's, she did a lot of time in Mexico wrestling down there and just wrestling all over. And I think she's a huge asset to that locker room. But yeah, she should be giving us more than 3-minute squash matches. And I love her her character work is fantastic and it's fun to see that. But yeah, she should be having she should be doing more.
Absolutely. Well, we go right into another match. No, a backstage segment of the infantry being interviewed, and the Outrunners come running in.
What did they say? They're old ops, I think is what he was saying, because he's talking about their different ops, and he's like, and then the old ops, and like right on cue, here come the Outrunners. Like, he just called y'all old.
The comedic timing of both of these guys, it was perfect. Carly scolded the Outrunners for stealing their finisher, wearing military colors and wearing camo, and they're like, we've been wearing camo forever. But they challenged them for a tag match, so we'll see that next week. I love the infantry. I find them to be such a key entertainment piece, and really, I think are the future of tag team in ROH.
Yes.
So
I feel like they need to follow up with them after being in the AEW tag team tournament. Like, they need to, especially because they got the surprise win, and I was really hoping they got the upset win over FTR. Like, that would have been incredible. That was the route that they had gone. That would have been so good. But still, I think they have to follow up with the infantry now. Like, you've established them as a TV tag team. You've established them as a team that can go. And if you ever get these damn titles on a club on a regular basis, like, they are so, and I was like, yeah, like infantry and workhorsemen, like you and the Outrunners, like they've got, and even Serpentico and Angelico, like you've got, they've got so many tag that the tag team is too good to just like not be doing anything of importance.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to that one.
Well, speaking of tag, we're going into a trios match of Lance Archer and the Righteous versus GPA, Ren Jones and John Cruz, which I love that commentary put over John Cruz.
Yes. Tyler Rose would also put over John Cruz, but not Serpentico.
Like, are we as viewers, like, does everybody know that Serpentico is John Cruz?
I don't know if they do, but it's funny because like I've known because my old local promotion, he was John Cruz first because he was and when he's wrestled as Los when he's been Bendejo, he used to be Los Bendejos. That was a tag team here in my local promotion, probably like 2016 or 20. No, had to be even earlier. Yeah, maybe like 2014, 2015, and it was because it was him and he changed his name. I think he's Sirius Badu now, but before that, he was under a different name, and I completely just blanked on it. But they were the Los Bendejos. They were tag team champions for a little bit. And then it was just John Cruz for a while, and then he became Serpentico, and then I'm like, yeah, and then people were like, oh, and like people were not making the connection on TV, and I was like, I think people are in on the joke now, especially because Serpentico always tweets about John Cruz, and and like I think people are in on it now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But I really love that they treat them as like two separate people, and like I think it makes it even funnier because I think I think a lot of people are in on it now, and I think it's really funny that they are just like, oh, here's John Cruz and he does all these things. And it's funny when they're on the same episode, like when you see like John Cruz will come have a squash match like the second match on the show, and then later Serpentico is out here with Angelico, and it's like, oh, these are not, you did not just see that guy wrestle.
Yeah, you didn't see that guy wrestle at all, literally. And I think actually one time Caprice had mentioned like, "Oh, he looks a little winded. You think that he was working out backstage?" Or it said something, and
Oh,
I'm like,
I
"What?
don't think I do remember
What?"
Yes.
But you know, this match was, who you think was going to win. It was a
Yeah.
squash match. I do kind of like Lance Archer with the Righteous. I
I do
mean,
too.
it was kind of disappointing to see that Bateman didn't continue with
Yeah.
the AEW version of Ring of Honor. I think the Sinclair version of the Righteous was my favorite. So
Yeah.
seeing this kind of be a little bit rewritten in this point, it's a good place for Lance Archer to be the focal
Agreed.
point, because I think that he's that standout guy
Yeah,
for the
Lance Archer's
Righteous.
amazing.
So
I was so excited when they brought in Monster Sauce for Supercard.
yes,
I
oh my
love Monster
god,
Sauce, and I was like, "Hell yeah, Monster Sauce." Then they brought out Suzuki, and I was like, "Yes." I was like,
yes,
"I love everything about this. This is so great." And I was
oh
like,
my
"Man,
gosh.
I was like, I know that Alex Zane is a busy dude, but I'm like, if we can have more Monster Sauce, please make that happen because I love it." Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Look at the knowledge being dropped
Yes,
here.
this is that is my sister. So she
My
knows. She was
sister.
with me. So thanks, Nikki. I was like, hopefully she's still listening and will remind me because I was like, I just blanked on. I was like, he changed his name, and I was like, was it? And yes, I believe she is right. I think it was Rios at the time that they
Love
were
that.
doing the Los Pendejos
But
gimmick.
oh, we go from one squash match to the next of Abaddon versus Nova, which we've seen. Wait, I'm pretty sure we've seen
I think we've
Nova.
seen Nova like once or twice, and I think they even
Mhm.
said it on commentary that we've
Yeah.
seen her before.
So, but everybody loves Abaddon. I just am so obsessed with them. I mean, for the fact that, I'm also non-binary, being in this space, and
Yeah.
I it does please me knowing that, like, there is also a non-binary person that
Mhm.
is can be female presenting, but in the regards of, oh, but you call yourself, the dead girl, right?
Yeah,
Like,
the Living Dead girl.
the
Yeah.
living dead girl. Hello. How does that work? And I just love Abaddon's response of,
Mhm.
gender is whatever you want it to be. So I can
Right.
be literally whatever I want to be. And I'm like,
I
that
loved
is
that answer. Yeah, when they told RJ City that, I was like, That's perfect." And,
that's
yeah,
perfect.
I'm so glad, and I was like, every time I hear them properly use the correct pronouns, like, because when
Yeah.
Abaddon because Abaddon was original like, I think at one point she was using she, her, and
Right.
then, they were on Dark and Elevation, and then Excalibur was trying to use they because he was using they them some, and then
Yeah.
he would kind of, but then the others weren't, and I don't think they were trying to misgender. I think they just didn't. And I was like, I don't know, like if they just don't know that they have, they've changed or that these are their preferred pronouns. And then I noticed that
Hmm.
they would sometimes they would just say Abaddon and just a lot instead of like saying she, her, or they, them. It was just Abaddon, which it's, I was like, at least they're trying. And then, but finally, it seems like Ian, and I've noticed that Ian and Caprice always use the correct pronouns, and they both
Yeah.
like, and it's so like seamless the way that they do it. Like, I don't even know that some people, like, I don't even really know if they catch. And I was like, I do, just because I know that for a long time they were not using, or only
Hmm.
Excalibur was, and like they were just saying, and I was like, no. And because I remember tweeting a few times, I'm like, somebody needs to tell them that like their preferred pronoun, like
Yeah.
it's literally in Abaddon's bio that they prefer these pronouns. And so I guess that's why I noticed it, because I would hear it and I'm like, they're not getting this right. And then finally, like Ian and Caprice have gotten it. And I was like, that's a really cool thing that they, I guess I don't want to say it's a small thing because it's not, but
Right.
for them to just do it, and it just is it's so seamless that they don't like it, they don't harp on it, but like I think they just make, I'm don't know how I'm trying to say this, but just like
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
appreciate
yeah,
the
yeah.
effort that they put into it, especially because, and I am a straight woman, I are cisgender, but I still like I try to be, make sure that I'm using the correct pronouns and things like that. And so it's something it's nice to be able to hear like, okay, yes, they are, and they're trying and they're making it an effort, and that's important, especially and I'm sure to people who are non-binary, and to see a wrestler and to make sure that they're getting the proper pronouns used about them, and still using still using living dead girl, but also using the they them pronouns, like that they
Right.
make sure that they get that right, which I appreciate from Ian and Caprice.
And I think that it's, for anyone who thinks, oh my gosh, this is so confusing, or, whatever, it all comes down to respect. And if you're being intentional about it, which I've always seen Riccaboni and Caprice be
Yes.
intentional about how they do
Yes.
commentary, that I think that just makes it even more sweeter. I mean, it can't come out of your mouth. I've accidentally said she in regards to, a non-binary person, and I'm
Yeah.
non-binary myself. And so, I mean, I just use any pronouns, but some people use, specifically they them pronouns. So I get it, and it's always a sign of respect, but it's like, if you fuck up, it's okay to be like, I fucked up.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let me make it up.
Right.
Like,
yeah, because you're acknowledging that you
yeah,
even if you're letting it slip, that you are like, because even still, like I try to like, even sometimes in my writing, like if I'm writing about somebody like Speedball, like I try to make
yeah,
sure that I'm using both, and sometimes I'll forget. I'm like, wait a minute, I need to, I should like,
right.
I don't think Speedball's gonna like read my article and be like, listen, you're missing. But I'm trying to make so
Right.
that people realize, like as they're reading this, like wait, because I think in some cases for some people who like maybe who watch New Japan and haven't seen Speedball before, like maybe they don't realize that Speedball
Mhm.
uses he, they. And so I was like, so if they're reading this, like I want them to understand, okay, this person uses these pronouns, and this is how I should talk about them when I'm talking about them. And sometimes I fall back and I will realize that I'm saying he, and I'm like, not that. And so I'm like, okay, and so I try to make sure that I am switching them up and using them, like just to, because I was like, yeah, it should be a normal part of conversation when you're talking about a wrestler who uses these pronouns. And I appreciate places like Enjoy Wrestling and Effie's Big Gay Brunch, where they are like, they specify like, okay, this is the pronouns that they use. Please use them as well. It's not that hard. Like listen to commentary, listen to how they use it. And it's really not that hard. Like, I mean, of course we're gonna, there are slip ups and things like that. And like you said, you just acknowledge it and try to make it, do right the next time. And, and so I think it's a good thing to show people that like, it's really not that, like, it's not that difficult for people to ask if you're, because if you like, I saw an example one time that was like, if somebody lost their phone at a restaurant, you don't say, oh, he or she lost their phone. You say they lost their phone. I hope they come back and get it. Like, so you're using the pronoun, like you're already doing it. Like it's not that hard. Like you use it in everyday conversation and you just don't even realize it. Like it's not that hard, you guys.
There we go. There's always one rant during the show, and I think that was perfectly rantable. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, and thank you so much. I really appreciate anyone who advocates for the non-binary folks. Oh, with that said, we only have a little bit left of this show. We do have one more interview segment. Taya and Johnny are interviewed by Lexi after their wins tonight, and they talk about the season finale of Johnny Loves Taya. And in comes Aaron Solo, which I have my issues with Aaron Solo, but he has grown on me like a friendly little fungus, that little shithead, He's got that sarcasm in the ring, and I'm so excited that he finally has a personality.
Yeah.
But he interrupts Taya and Johnny and says that Johnny Loves Taya would have gotten more views if he was on the show. That little shithead.
Sure, little just be the Delulu over there. Sure, Aaron Solo. That's exactly what would have happened.
And then Johnny and Taya said that he was a loser. They mentioned that he was SOLOW.
That made me laugh. It got a pop out of me that they spelled it, that they dropped the W because he doesn't get any.
Low.
So great. Oh, that was good.
But I like that he was like, remember QTV? Like so many people shit on QTV, and I loved QTV. You know, it was such a little gem thing that they tried, but it was an interesting segment.
Yeah, it was a
Not much
segment.
left to say.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it helps. It helped. I thought actually it was entertaining, and the drop in the W because you don't get any wins, and I think he said you're like for the century or something like something like I don't know something
Yeah.
really mean
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
Oh, for the.
It was something. Yeah, it was fun, and so I was like, it was. I'm glad to see them finally like figuring out hopefully something to do with Solo. And so I hadn't watched last week at that point, and I was like, where did Aaron Solo come from?
Yeah.
And so then I was watching this week, and I was like, now it makes sense. Okay,
Mhm.
because I didn't realize he was on last week's episode. I was like, where the hell is Aaron Solo coming from? And he's just coming in this segment. And
Yeah.
and he's like, I would have made your show. I'm like, where the hell have you been?
Where
Oh,
have
okay,
you
you were here
been?
last week, so that's on
Exactly.
me. But yeah, I thought it was funny.
Well, it was perfectly timed right into our main event of the night, which is a triple threat match of AR Fox, Blake Christian, and the Beast Mortos, aka Black Toro, Taurus, whatever you want to say that they used to be known as. But CMLL has
Mm-hmm. They said
that
you cannot be Black Truth
trademarked.
anymore. Yeah, straight up, just change your name, and your look can be kind of similar, but like so
He
people know who you
just
are, and yeah, I was like,
uh
yeah,
um
you're fine.
brain. Okay. What did you think of this match? It was basically as advertised, I went, oh, there's going to be a lot of flippy dippy shit. And what
Mm-hmm.
do you know? Flippy dippy
That's
shit.
exactly what it was, and I was here for it.
AR Fox, like every time, I think he's such a sleeper, especially in a
Yes.
lot of these, especially because he keeps being put in these triple threat matches. And I'm like, don't sleep on AR Fox.
Yeah.
He is a gift maker, right? He is what they thought that Ricochet was, 7 years ago, where
Yeah.
every move that he
Fact.
does, a
Fact.
hit tweet. Oh, look.
Yeah. Like I love AR Fox. I think he's like, and even like I went to an Evolve show like right towards the end, and AR Fox was on it. He had like the match of the night. Like AR Fox is like, yeah, he's so slept on, but he's so good. And every time I see him, I'm like, oh yeah, like I already
Mhm.
know, but then he comes out, and I'm like, yeah, this dude needs to be like, why are we not using him more? Like, why are we only putting him in triple threats? Like, please,
Mhm.
please use him more. And then like yeah, I really like him. I like really like all three of them. I really liked Beast Morphos. I thought that he was like, hitting his stride, and then they were like, can't be Black Taurus anymore, and I was like, I mean, it doesn't throw it off that much, but it's just like Beast Morphos doesn't really roll off the tongue like like Black
Yeah.
Taurus did.
Although this mask is a little bit more spooky, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
and I would
It's
agree with that. I would agree with that. But
I
yeah, so I feel like he's kind of trying to. It's almost like I was like, I think people realize who he is, like that it's the same guy. It's just like I think most people do, and they're they bring it up on commentary. You're like, hey, he used to be formerly known as, but
yeah.
yeah, I like it. And like Blake Christian, it's so funny because like I love Blake Christian. Like I think he's great in GCW. Like he's the perfect little shit heel.
Yeah.
Like he
So
plays it, and
good.
like I was talking to like when they first started like booing him before he was a heel, I was like, are they booing him because he has an AEW contract? Like, why are you booing this man? Paid, like, what's wrong with you? Like, I
Mhm.
was like, I will never boo this man. I still don't. I think he's a fantastic heel. But I was talking to I was talking about him on my podcast, and one of the guys was watching. He was like, GCW Blake Christian would kick ROH Blake Christian's ass, and he's correct. What I every time I
So
see him is that.
I I was under the impression that Blake Christian was on a per appearance deal, right? Because he's
I
just been used as
they saw like from what I if I remember correctly, and maybe it was not reported, and it could have just not been reported correctly at the
Mhm.
time because ROH didn't. really exist yet. And so they kind of were like, he signed, but to be on ROH, and then they weren't using him, and so GCW is like, well, we're putting a title on him, so like you figured out, like, we're using him every show, like that's on you if you can't figure it out.
And then figure it out.
Yeah, and then they like just quit using him for a while, or he would come in and like, I think like, and it made me laugh because like one of Effie's promos was like, you have to like miss shows because you have to go job on ROH. I was like, I mean, damn, Effie, we know.
Damn,
damn, Effie, why gotta just call him out like that?
Why you gotta?
So maybe
he is so.
Yeah, so maybe he is technically on like a per appearance deal, because like I think because AEW didn't, I mean, ROH didn't really like, they were still trying to figure out, like, I think Tony had purchased ROH, but they didn't have Honor Club figured out yet, and so I don't know like what the deal was. They just knew that he was like contracted with the ROH side of things. But yeah, I'm wondering if it is per appearance, because like it will go months without seeing him, and then he'll show up,
yeah,
then he'll be here like then he's like on a pay-per-view, like he'll just be on 0 hour, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, he works here.
Oh yeah.
And then they'll use him on TV like 2 or 3 more times, and then we won't see him for like 3 months, and then he comes back at the next pay-per-view and we're like, oh yeah, Blake Christian works here.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this main event was pretty great. I think if you like this kind of shit, where, I mean, at one point during the match, Blake Christian and AR Fox were teaming together to, you know, get the advantage, but then they suddenly started turning on each other to get the advantage of the Beast Mortos. So I don't know.
They could not coexist.
Nobody can coexist, but no. We did get the Beast Mortos taking the win, which is win number 3? Question mark.
They seem to really be pushing him, and I feel like that's kind of, they seem to be moving him into a bigger position at some point, like kind of like they were doing with Lee Johnson. Like Lee Johnson just like out of nowhere got like 10 wins, like almost 10 wins in a row or something.
Yeah,
so kind of doing that.
Lee Johnson wasn't on the show. Jeez,
he was. Yeah, yeah. His match, I did get to see his match with James Drake, which was, or JD Drake, which was fantastic. And I was like, man, I hope I get to see this JD Drake match before this. And it was like the third match. I was like, sweet. And they got time, which was nice. And I was like, yeah, you better give them time after what you did to Anthony Henry.
That is another rant that I have gone on. But yeah,
but yeah, Johnson was not on this week. And also, and I'm sure you guys have talked about it because I know Kyle fusses about it, but like, are we ever gonna just like, that's what I asked when that Arya Daivari thing premiered. I was like, are we gonna address the pure title or no? Like,
so before the show, I looked up, really, when was the last time we've seen Wheeler Yuta on television? January 10th, 2024. That's the last time, and it was for the triple title that Eddie had.
Oh, the Continental?
The Continental, the open weight title, and the ROH title. That was on Rampage. The last time that we've seen him defend the pure title was against Commander, January 3rd. Where?
And he wasn't, and that wasn't even on Honor Club, right? I feel like somebody said that.
No, it was on Rampage.
Yeah, he has. Somebody I think said that it might have been Kyle, that he's not been on Honor Club since November. I mean, I know he's injured.
I know that he's been hurt. Everybody keeps telling me, but drop the title. It's been almost 5 months.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, and because he was supposed to be on the Arena Mexico show with Blackpool, and they pulled him like a week before, and I was like, all right, so like, what are we doing here? Like, clearly he's injured. Don't rush him back, but like, at least do an interim title, like.
Right, do like something. Do a tournament to be the interim champion. Come on,
like Shibata is back. Like Shibata lost the title because he had visa problems and he had to go home to Japan and they didn't know how long he was going to be gone. Shibata's been gone, got his visa, and come back.
Exactly.
What
Exactly.
are we doing here?
And I got crucified a couple weeks ago, or I guess 2 months ago, because I was like, drop the title, strip him of the title right now, because if he's going to be out this long and we don't have any end date, we don't even have an acknowledgement
We don't know
of
what the injury is. Like,
right.
so if it's something that is not healing the way they think it is, then take the title off of him. Just do an interim. I mean, you did it with when Thunder Rosa messed up her back. You did the interim title. You've
And
done them before.
They were very transparent of that.
Right. So that you won't even tell us that Yuta is hurt. Like, I was like, what is I hope that he's like okay, because you're not even
Right.
you won't acknowledge that he's hurt. And then you just said, and I mean, I think they kind of did when they're like, oh, he was supposed to be here on Blackpool Combat Club at Arena Mexico. He's not here, or they replaced him with Matt Sydal, and then that was just it. They didn't say like he's injured, he's dealing with a back injury, or he's dealing with a leg. Like, I mean, for all we know, this man has had surgery, and like we just don't know. I mean,
I was just thinking he got abducted by aliens.
I mean, that would make more sense at this point. They took some aliens are fighting for the pure title up in the like on their planet, like
right.
they're
we need those stats,
holding Wheeler
ASAP.
Yuta hostage and just fighting for his belt every week, apparently. Like,
but the last time that the Ring of Honor pure champion has been on a Ring of Honor show was Final Battle against Tom Lawler. The last time it was on,
that's right.
The last time it was on Honor Club was Honor Club 42, December 5th.
Next week is Honor Club 62. That's 20 episodes ago. Like, that's
insane.
Like, if this had been, we know that Honor Club is the forgotten stepchild, but like, if this had been an AEW title, there's no way they would have had that title not appear for 20 shows, or not have had an interim champion, or strip them or something. Like, if this was an AEW title, like, we would have had a new champion 3 months ago. I don't know what we're doing here. And actually, that was going to be my question on the media call last week, and then ended up asking about the Nyla Rose stuff and said that's clearly way more important. But I'm like, never gonna be able to. I was like, Wheeler's gonna be back before I can ask this question.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which I guess is good because he'll be healed. But yeah, I hope Wheeler's doing all right. I hope, like, whether it's an injury or an alien abduction, like, I hope he's all right wherever he's at. But like, they just like don't acknowledge him, and I'm like, where is this man at?
Exactly.
Where is his title? Why do not? And so that's why I thought with like the premier athletes, I was like, okay, they're coming back. This title's gonna get brought up. Like, they're gonna be like, we want the pure title, but the champion's not been here, so let's do an interim title. But they are like not even mentioning it. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, because Josh Woods was like right at the cusp of that.
And then they kind of screwed him to put it on Yuta to get it off of Shibata, which the story, I get, it made sense for what it was. And I guess they didn't think it was gonna, because it was supposed to be for Shibata, like he'll be back in a couple of months, and then Yuta gets hurt, and they're just like, they didn't have Josh Woods was like not on Honor Club for like, I guess him and Tony Nese were on vacation working out for like 4 months. Like, they just like disappeared. Like, they were gone, and they're like, all of a sudden they're like, oh, here, we're back and we're together now, and Arya Daivari is with us, and we're like got all these abs and stuff. Like,
we've got abs.
We got abs. We got close up of Tony Nese pecs in the camera. Like,
exactly.
We've got matching tracksuits.
Oh my gosh. Well, what did you think of this episode of Ring of Honor?
It was solid. Like, it wasn't a bad episode, but you've seen how many times we've gone off course in this episode talking about other things. So that kind of tells you.
I mean, what's the point of talking about some of these squash matches? I mean, what? There's 5 squash matches?
Like, I think there were 5 women's matches, and they were all less than 5 minutes long.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Abaddon's match was 97 seconds.
Uh-huh.
So,
Not even
like,
2 minutes.
yeah, 97 seconds. And I was like, and so I purposely do that when I time the matches and they're under 2 minutes. I purposely put them in seconds. I was like, I want you to see how ridiculous this is. Like, their entrance, Abaddon's entrance was longer than their match, I'm pretty sure. Like, especially
Wow.
because they're
What are we
wrestling
doing?
an independent talent who has no entrance. They're already in the ring
Right.
during the backstage segment. So you are giving them more time to come out to the ring than you are giving them in the ring. Like, and I get it. Abaddon's this, scary. I don't want to say scary monster, but like Abaddon's this, like, kind of like Nyla. Like, you expect that you're just gonna, sure, I get why they're running through people who are not signed talent. Like, I get it. But like, there's only so many squashes you can do. Like, especially because we've seen Abaddon can go. Like, Abaddon can have 7 and 8 minute matches. Like, what are we doing? And then, like, I was watching last week's episode and I was like, well, look, there's 6 women in this match, and like that like got some movement in it. And then it just seems like this week is like, oh god, we have a pay-per-view, so like, let's just put some women on it. And instead of giving them long matches, we'll give them 5 matches that they can only be like 3 minutes long. It's like, what are we doing
I do
here?
not want that. No, thank you.
Especially coming off of ROH was getting a lot of praise for their women's division on
Yes.
the
Women
Supercard
of
call.
honor.
Like, even the
Women of
media,
honor.
yeah, like on the media call, like all these people were like, the women's division, the women's division, the women's division. I was like, wow, this is really refreshing to hear. People are paying
Mhm.
attention. And then we're 2 weeks off the pay-per-view and we're having 5 matches and they're all squash matches. They're all under 5 minutes. I'm like, there's so much start stop, and which has been the story of Ring of Honor. But yeah, the show was solid. Like, I wouldn't say that if you missed this week's episode that you're not really missing a whole lot, especially story wise, because even though we did have the really fun proving ground match, it was a proving ground match. The champions won. So that's just, there's no really, other than the Outrunners are now facing the infantry next week because the infantry asked for it. And which I'm glad to see that. But yeah, it was just, and like the main event was fun. And going back to the opener, like Commander versus Isaiah was fun, but it wasn't like, it was just like, it didn't really move storylines forward or anything like that. I mean, the backstage segment, I guess, with like the meme, that was a lot of fun. That was really entertaining, but like, that's on Twitter. So
Yeah,
you can just go on Twitter and watch it. So it was fine.
I feel it. Well, I would definitely give this episode a 5 out of 10 stars.
I was just about to say, yeah, I'd give it a 5.
Yeah, it's 5. If you watch one match, I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. What did I say earlier?
Proving ground match.
The proving ground match. Yeah, that was great. It's
yeah, and you could even watch the main event. The main event was fun. It was just a lot of, if you're into the luchador stuff, if you're into the high flying, flippy dippy stuff like I usually am, then you would probably enjoy that. But like, you don't have to go out of your way.
You can miss it. So
yeah, it's fine.
Well, all right. Well, Sam, where can we find you? Plug away. Tell us where to find you next.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter it's coming across the bottom of the screen at Samantha_1713. I generally am live tweeting a bunch of stuff. So especially on Ring of Honor nights, Dynamite nights. So you can find me there. I write for several different websites, so you can find my work is usually there.
An amazing article about Kiera Hogan.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I got to interview Kiera last Friday before the Ashe show. She was great. She was wonderful to talk to. She gave me a lot of really good info, like just talking about the Ring of Honor women's division and working with Athena, and Athena being a locker room leader. And then we talked about like the importance of Ashe as an independent promotion here that's out of Charlotte right now. It's by Darius Lockhart, who is a phenomenal wrestler. I've known him for a long time. And I love him so much. And so like, it's basically like whatever Darius does, no question, I'll be there, no questions asked. I don't care what it is. I will like. He's got my support. Like our friend group were like, what are you doing? All right, well, just tell us where to be and we'll be there. And luckily we get rewarded with really good wrestling. And so I've gotten the opportunity to interview. Like the first show that Ashe did, the main event was Trisha Dora versus Aja Kong.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like insane. And like I got to do media for the first part. And so like I was in this like the room before, and like Aja Kong is sitting directly across from me, and like I asked the question and she was like looking right at me, and I was like, oh my God.
Oh
like,
my God.
I was like, what is happening? But yeah, so so I got to talk to Kiera. She was wonderful to talk to. I got some other interviews from that show that will be coming. Like I think my next one will probably be with Kevin Knight, because I'm going to try to get it out before BOSJ starts. We talked about that. We talked about we talked about TNA and like how the changes with Motor City leaving, with Scott D'Amore leaving, and like how that affects your locker room, and like being mentored by like Motor City, like that's insane. Like that the Motor City and Kushida are who are mentoring you. Like, and he was telling me like one thing that was really cool. I don't want to give away too much of the interview, but like he was saying that he didn't have access to TNA, so like he never saw Motor City. Like he really didn't see any of their matches, and then he was like talking about just how humble they are and just how wonderful. Like it was really cool. Like and so we talked about BOSJ some, and like so that will probably be coming hopefully next week. I'm hopefully going to be able to transcribe it. But yeah, so you can find me, and so all my articles are there, and actually in my bio on my Twitter is a link to all of my work. And then on Sundays, every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, I have a YouTube podcast called Power Bombshells. Me and my co-host Mo Gray we're just two broads, talk about the wrestling we watch. A lot of it is AEW and ROH, or I'm more of the ROH person than she is, but she keeps up with like the stories because I talk about it and tell her about it. And then so we do watch more of that, and then like some indie stuff. And so we just talk about we do talk about Vince McMahon. We don't shy away from that topic. I know a lot of people do, but we don't. So we do talk about stuff like that. But yeah, you can see us we're on YouTube on the Fight Game Media Network, but you can find us every Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. You can find me at _queer auntie on most social medias, TikTok, Instagram, the Twitters, because I don't acknowledge it as X.
Oh no.
I think I'm that also on the Blue Sky and the other things. I don't know what they are. I don't really hang out there. You could find me on Saturdays over at Fightful Overbooked with Wrestling Made Me Cry, where we talk about all the positive things in wrestling, and more things are going to come because I like to, I like to talk about wrestling. So be in the know for that. And with that said, thank you so much for joining us. I've had a great time.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I had a great time. I would love to come do it again.
You're welcome anytime. Happy wrestling.